suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious, so I move with it.
Their enlightenment with the community in which I was then living. So
I told them, hey mom, I spent 8
then living. So one of my proudest moments was in 1989 when we did a Free Your Mind lecture called the Elder Symposium, in which I brought together 3 of my favorite scholars, John G. Jackson, John Henry Clarke, and Dr. Yosef Ben Yochanan. John Jackson is a brilliant, brilliant man. John Jackson taught John Henry Clarke when Clarke migrated to Harlem from Alabama and was part of the Harlem History Club. And Jackson and Clarke then brought a young Dr. Yosef Ben Yochanan under their wing when he also came to Harlem, which was, you know, the Black Mecca. And so to be able to bring these 3 men, these 3 giants together in one venue was a feather in my cap. It was the first time the 3 of them had been together in over 20 years. And we had a 2-day program that was so transformative. I think our first night, we had about 1,200 people in attendance. And it was profoundly impactful for me to bring 3 men that I admired together so I can share them with our community. And then 1982, I was working on my second book, Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. And I had asked Dr. Clarke if he would write the introduction to Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. And so it just so happened that I had Clarke had brought him into town to do a presentation, a Free Your Mind lecture, and picked him up from the airport, took him to the hotel, and every time we would do these lectures, we would make the rounds at the local radio stations. We had 3 Black-owned radio stations in DC at the time. We would go on the Kathy Hughes Morning Show on WOL. WOL is now the largest Black-owned communications network in the world. We then go to WPFW and do an interview, and then to the University of the District of Columbia's radio station and do an interview. So we would make the rounds, and then we would go to the lecture. And Dr. Clarke was his usual brilliant self. And after the lecture, I took him back to his hotel. And I was beat that day. I mean, I had been running, doing a little bit of everything. And so setting up for the program, doing the interviews, and I was tired. And so Clarke had an early flight back to New York. And I figured, look, I need to get some rest. So I made arrangements for one of my colleagues, Joseph Hanna, as a matter of fact, to take Dr. Clarke to the airport in the morning so I could get a little rest. So I took Clarke to his room, go to his room, and then he directs me over to a corner of the room because by this time, Dr. Clarke was blind, right? And he tells me to go over to the room, and there's a folder there. And to pick up that folder, it's my introduction, his introduction to my book. So I took the folder, I thanked him very much, and then I left. I went home. So I get home and I'm hyped, long day, I'm hyped, I can't go to sleep. So I said, let me read Dr. Clarke's introduction. And I was nervous, know what he was going to say. So I opened the envelope and I read his introduction. And I was just floored by all the kind and wonderful things that he had to say. And I read it again. And I'm like, man, this is, I'm so honored. I'm so thrilled. And I have to take him to the airport tomorrow. I have to tell him, how pleased I am that he said these wonderful things about me. So I called up Joseph and said, look, Joe, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, Joe, look, I'm going to take Dr. Clark to the airport tomorrow, right? So I pick him up from the hotel, drive him to the airport. And this is 1991. So at that time, you could literally go through security with the person who was flying. You could go to the gate with the person who was flying. You could also go on the plane with the person who was flying. And because of the fact that Dr. Clark was legally blind at the time, I escorted him onto the plane, onto his seat, and made sure that everything was fine with him before I left. And as I was about to leave, one of the flight attendants came to me and said, "Oh, it was so kind the way you're tending to your grandfather." And I said, "Well, yeah. He means the world to me, and I want to take special care of this man because of the fact he means the world to me." So it just is so filling, man, to be able to be in the presence of people you admire, love, respect, and appreciate, and to be able to do things for them to demonstrate how much you love, respect, and appreciate them. And now that Clark is an ancestor, I do the work that I do knowing that he has my back, knowing that he's looking over my shoulder, knowing that he's there to guide me, to whisper in my ear, and to protect me as I move forward. So to be able to not only stand on the shoulders of giants, but to also be able to have the key to invite them from the ancestral realm into the physical world so that you can maintain communication with them and guidance from them is really what this process is all about. And something that Clark also said, he said this one time when he was speaking during a lecture and talked about the work that we do, the work that he and his colleagues were doing. And he said that, some people think that this is just a lecture, that we're just writing books and talking about the books that we've read. He said, but this is a priesthood. This is sacred work. And when you view it as sacred work, when you view it as your life's calling, you bring a certain degree of respect for the work, a respect for the people that you deliver the content to. You have an obligation to do your best. You have an obligation to be truthful, to be honest, and to explode the myths, dispel the lies, and to enlighten people so that they can empower themselves. And this process is so especially important for us people of African ancestry, because we've been lied to, because we've been, our history and our culture, our traditions have been appropriated. We have been erased from the respectable commentary of human history. And as Dr. Clark was one to always reference an article which transformed his life as a 19-year-old young man, an article written by Arthur Schomburg entitled "The Negro Digs Up His Past." Now, reading that article made him want to, one, go to Harlem and meet Schomburg, and two, begin to understand African history. And Schomburg told him, well, before you understand African history, you have to first understand the history of the people who oppressed you. You have to understand world history. And then you put all of this information in context in order to figure out where the African story is in world history, where the African story is in European history. And when you have that context, you then have a vantage point to view the world from a perspective that the average person lacks. Most people don't like history because they haven't been taught by good history teachers. They think history is just names and dates and places and things. History is a life. Something that Van Sertima said in a lecture stuck with me. He said that the streets we walk on were built by the dead. The houses that we live in were built by the dead. The things that are part of our lives, the books we read, the programs, the movies that we watch were created by people, many of whom are now dead. But what you realize by understanding the power of history is that the dead are not dead. The dead are still alive. Their essence is still with you. And when you know that, when you don't fear death, when you cultivate a love affair with history, with facts, with truth, with ma'at, with justice, knowledge, and understanding, then it creates a means by which those deceased ancestors can speak to you. And it's through that process of maintaining this connection, this spiritual connection, this ancestral connection, is what separates the true scholars from the folk who are just out here making noise, right? Who don't really have a foundation to stand on. The people who will be forgotten as soon as they die. So it's about realizing that this is, we are continuing a legacy that has been passed down from mouth to ear, from generation to generation to generation since the beginning of time. This is sacred work. And when you approach it from that vantage point, then it makes it easier to do this work.
All right, family.
Yes,
indeed, we are here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. And this is the Black Business Showcase, Season 2, Episode 1. Appreciate everybody for being here. How's everybody doing tonight? What's going on, nyctegur?
What's good? So excited to be back for the Black Business Showcase. We've been talking about this for months, y'all, trying to figure out when we were going to do it. And I'm so excited to be back, excited about our guests, excited for everybody tuning in right now. Thank y'all.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, family, first things first, I'm gonna need everybody to hit that like button for the one time. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter, head on over to the YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live with new episodes of Sincere Love the Godcast, as well as the Black Business Showcase, because as you can see, we are back in business, or should I say we are Black in business. You know what I'm talking about? So on Sundays, we go live 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, and that is our weekly broadcast where we talk about current events and other important topics pertaining to what's going on in the Black community. And on days like today, Wednesdays, we will be going live around this time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, with our guests for the Black Business Showcase to talk about their journey into entrepreneurship and to just chop up some game about business in general. And so look forward to those episodes, and it may be some different times as well. So make sure you are following us on social media as well so that you can stay tuned with the different times that may be changing up here and there. We may have to accommodate different times for different guests, things of that nature. And so my co-host, she's at nyctegur with the #1 on Instagram and without the #1 on Twitter. And you can follow me. I'm at Sincere Love the God on all social media platforms. So make sure that y'all stay tapped in, family. And share this out. Let everybody know that we are live right now. We got a dynamic guest coming up for y'all to set off season 2 real proper like.
Right.
And so first thing I want to say is I had to open up with that clip right there with the master teacher, Dr. Anthony Browder, sharing that story and sharing his wisdom. Shout out to Amadeus as well. That was Amadeus Christ channel. Our brother with the movie Out of Darkness and Heavy is the Crown is the new film. That content was from his channel. So make sure that you guys are subscribed to that channel as well. But I chose that clip to open up this episode because I really enjoyed the story of him telling about that chain, those links in the chain, or how the information was passed on from generation to generation. Anthony Browder, this is a brother who studied and sat at the feet of master teachers like John G. Jackson, Asa Hilliard, John Henry Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, so on and so forth, so many others. He had the opportunity to actually sit at the feet of these brothers and study with them and travel with them around the world and document our history. You know what I'm saying? And, him talking about that history and the respect that he had for those brothers, you know what I'm saying? And the admiration that he had for those brothers. And then him talking about John Henry Clark sitting at the feet of Schomburg to get the information. You know what I'm saying? And so it's levels to that. And I thought that was appropriate today because the guest that we have today is a brother from the newer generation who is carrying on that same tradition, who we are watching and witnessing that torch being passed down to. One of the youngest warrior scholars on the scene today is our brother, none other than author of the book series, one of the best-selling book series, I might add,
right,
about Black history today, Voice of the Ancestors. Y'all see the artwork behind me right there. Our brother, Chase Mcgee from Voice of the Ancestors. And before I bring him on, I'm gonna just read this short little piece right here. Here at Voice of the Ancestors, our mission is to re-educate the miseducated Black man, woman, and child in America and around the world, in hopes that the knowledge, wisdom, and information that we provide about their history and culture will help them be assets to the revolution to come. And so without further ado, family, I would like to introduce to you our brother, our first guest on season 2 of the Black Business Showcase, your brother, Chase Mcgee. Peace to the God. Your mic is muted, by the way. Your mic is muted, God.
I'll be slipping. Okay, peace to the family. Peace to the family.
Peace, man. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. We definitely appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. The honor is all mine, brother. Y'all been showing me love and support since like years in the game. So, man, I had to come on here and chop it up with the family.
Absolutely, man. We've been chatting in the game, the
but you were baby.
I know. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. I feel like that's why I don't like speaking a lot of times, because I feel like, man, I'm just a baby in the game. But a lot of people like to hear what I have to say, so I'm always honored.
Nah, it's important and it's necessary, man. I always tell people, like, sometimes, some of the younger generation, they don't necessarily want to hear it from me. They don't necessarily want to hear it from some of the elders, that came before us. They need to hear it from somebody who's more relatable to them, who they don't feel like, that's Pops, that's Unc. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they could really look at you and say, oh, okay, that's my brother right there. You know what I'm saying? And you don't look like no lame. You know what I'm saying? You got the swag and everything. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right.
So, it's more relatable to certain people. Certain people, the information is the information and they're more receptive. But some people, they need a certain presentation in order for them to even open up their ears in the first place. So what you're doing is extremely important, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In order to
I'm auntie now.
Right.
Right.
We approaching OG status over here.
Right.
So peace to everybody in the chat. I see you, some chick named Star, Crown 808. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us. And
I want to say something real quick.
Thank you for
Happy
sharing the links too.
I got to give a birthday shout out to our sister, Crown 808. Happy birthday to you, sis.
I ain't even know that. Happy birthday, beloved. Happy birthday. Another lap around the sun.
Yes.
Right.
And you here with us. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. So we definitely appreciate that. Right. So let's get this thing started, man. We're going to keep it how we always kept it in GodCast fashion. And what I like to do, brother, I like to get the origin story from the guests, man. You got to take us back to the beginning of the origin story of Chase Mcgee and how this whole journey came about for you.
Right. So, man, again, I'm brother Chase, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. My parents are by the way of Mississippi, so Mississippi is like an honorary hometown for me. Greenwood, Mississippi, the Mississippi Delta. I always say I'm a country boy at heart, so I'm rarely in the city like that. I like to get on four-wheelers and dirt bikes and stuff. That's kind of that Mississippi origin in me, so that helped to shape me. But like I say, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, on the east side, Decatur, Wesley Chapel, all that for my Atlanta folks that know. Went to Southwest DeKalb High School, which is a legendary high school out here in Atlanta, Georgia. Played for the legendary coach Buck Godfrey, who's in the High School Hall of Fame out here. So he helped to shape me and mold me from a young age. He was somebody who was very influential, really in the civil rights struggle. He was a part of the first Little League team to go to the College World Series, or the Little League World Series out in Delaware. He was an English professor as well, so he was always pushing education and literature and different things of that nature, and it kind of stuck with me, even though I didn't really grasp it at the time. You know how it is when you're in high school. You like, man, I'm here to play ball. But some of those lessons that he talked about, him pushing literature and education, that kind of stuck with me. So long story short, I end up attending Jacksonville State University, which is in Alabama, right across the Georgia line in Anniston, Alabama. Went there to play college football. In my freshman year, I actually blew out my knee. It's the first time in history.
What position did you play?
I played safety. I went there to play
Safety.
safety. Yeah, so I played free safety, strong safety, and what we call like a nickel corner. So that slot cornerback position. So I just played defensive back. That's what we call it, just, roughly. But when I got there, maybe about a month in my freshman year, man, I blew out my knee, tore my ACL, tore my PCL, just blew out my knee completely. That was the first time that I ever been hurt. And so, I was real down bad, man, because I feel like a lot of times as a black man, especially here in America, we're so tied to sports. We're so tied to entertainment. And we feel like if something is taken away, one of those two things are taken away, we ain't got no worth as a man, So I'm like a lot of young kids at the time in Atlanta. I grew up dreaming of playing in the NFL, playing for the Falcons, buying mom and pops a house and doing whatever, So when I got hurt, I was like, man, I can't play ball no more. So that hurt me. So, man, maybe about a week after I had got hurt, I went back to Atlanta, went to the grocery store with my mother. My mother was really trying to push me to get out the house. She was like, listen, you don't need to be sitting around the house depressed all day, X, Y, and Z, life goes on. You're going to be back on your feet in no time. And so she was like, come to the grocery store with me. You need to get out the house. So I had been sitting in the house for like 3 or 4 straight days, man. And when I went to the grocery store with her, we came out the grocery store. She did a little shopping. I walked around there with him. I'm still on crutches at the time and everything. And we came out and we ran into the bootleg man down here in Atlanta. That's what we call him, the bootleg man. He had the DVDs. I think he was doing like 5 for $20. They're something real cheap. And so, that's what we used to get up on. So I'm like, okay, man, cool. This is something to lift my spirits, watch a little movie, X, Y, and Z, man. So I picked out 5 DVDs, but he kept pushing me to get this one DVD. I mean, he pushing me real hard. He's like, young brother, you need this DVD. You need this DVD. And I'm like, that don't really sound too interesting. I never heard of that before. I'm trying to get that Fast and the Furious. I'm trying to get that, X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I think, that John Wick, I need all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get the action, man. I'm down, but I need to get on my morale. So he's like, man, young brother, I'm telling you, you need to see this. And I'm still kind of like, nah. He's like, I tell you what, I'm going to give it to you for free. Okay.
Wow.
So he ended up giving me the movie for free. So I went back to the school. Maybe about 2 or 3 weeks later, I had watched all the movies that I had bought. And I said, man, let me try this one free movie that he gave me. I popped it in, and that movie happened to be Hidden Colors.
Wow.
So, he had bootleg Hidden Colors 1 through 3. And shout out to Brother Tariq, man. I bought all the Hidden Colors.
Right.
The real Hidden Colors. I bought all of them, streamed all of them since then. But he happened to give me Hidden Colors, man, and the rest is history, man. That changed my life. So that was in 2014, October 2014. And probably from October 2014 to 2016, November 2016, I just went on this knowledge field journey, man, because it took me like a month to watch the whole 1 through 3, because I'm the type of person, when I hear something, I got to go research it. I've always been like that, because I'm like, man, ain't no way. I've never heard this before. Right. So I was like, man, these people, how black folk, man, it's cap. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This is, he lying, he doing this. So I was looking it up, and I'm like, man, I had never heard of the Moors. Didn't know what the Moors were. I had never even heard somebody say that the Kemites were black people. Right. And I haven't even noticed that historically, just, being that we're visual people, that I associated white people or Arab looking people with the Kemites. Because when you turn on the History Channel, when they talk about Egypt, you see the 10 Commandments or anything like that. They showing they got white actors playing it. So I'm just, I had programmed my mind that was white folks. So, man, I'm doing all this research, all this studying. I'm getting game from the master teachers who were included in the series. So I went on there and I started watching Baba Kaba's lectures, Professor Small's lectures, Phil Valentine's. And I'm like, man, I don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing. So, man, those 2 years, man, I went on that knowledge field journey, reading Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark books, just all over, Stolen Legacy, George G.M. James. I'm reading all these books in the library, because one of the great things about the school I went to in Jacksonville State, we had the biggest library in the state of Alabama. And that's not why I chose the school. I chose it for football. We went on to win. I believe we won 5 conference championships, went to a national championship, X, Y, and Z. But, they happen to have the biggest library in the state of Alabama as well. So I was just diving in on all the knowledge, wisdom, and information they had in the library. Had a whole section on Black history, X, Y, and Z. And so, you know, like I say, from 2014 to 2016, I went on that knowledge field journey. In 2016, though, I came across a point right before Trump got elected. And I said, man, you know, like you said, it's a disconnect between the elders and the younger generation. And I kept trying to put a lot of my friends, a lot of the homies on to the knowledge. And they were like, bro, this boring, dude. It's boring. I can't listen to a Dr. Clark, you know, and then like that, you know, he's saying some good stuff. But then, you know, our ancestors, they used to go 3-hour lectures, 4-hour lectures. Like nothing. You still look at that YouTube, it's like 5 hours long. Right. And they, you know, going on this, you know, journey, and they just sitting up there talking. There's no visual effects like we can do now. And we can put the images over the words and X, Y. It's just straight lecture. And so if you don't really have an interest in it, it's kind of hard to watch. So I said, man, I got an important role to play, man. It's time for us to modernize the information. It's time for us to take it and take these lectures and put it on the Instagram where you got 60 seconds. Because that's all the time span the younger generation we got. We like 60 seconds and you ain't talking about nothing. I'm gone. I got other things to do. And so that's why I came in. And I also said, man, some of this knowledge I was reading kind of needs to be updated a little bit, you know, from what I'm learning, what I'm studying. And we need to put it kind of in one source, but not make it too big. So that's when I decided to write the Voice of the Ancestors book series. And I think that was November 2016, early November 2016. So from 2016 to 2019, I wrote Voice of the Ancestors Volume 1, 2, and 3. And the rest is history, man.
Can I ask, outside of football, what was going to be your major?
Out of football, well, when I originally went to college, I majored in computer science.
Okay.
But I just picked that because they said they make a lot of money. You know, I'm going to school with football players. I'm like, man, I'm going to the league. I'm declaring my junior year. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't worried about, you know how when you're young. And so, man, I got in computer science. And that's the first time I really appreciated Atlanta. Even when I got out of Jacksonville State, because I went to a PWI. I wasn't used to being around that many white people, you know, so it was cultureless, like, especially in computer science, it was nothing but whites and Asians in there. I was the only black student in there. So it was like, you know, it was one of those things like people looking at me, even when I would ask for help and different things of that nature, looking like this dumb nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Why like you here?
Right. He don't know. We already know this. It was just that feeling, man. No culture, nothing like that in there. So I originally majored in computer science, and then I switched probably the end of my sophomore year to economics. So I ended up graduating with a business degree in economics.
Awesome.
So, but Chase, man, there had to be something in you from an even earlier part of your life for you to even have the appetite to read as much as you read. That's a short period of time. You only going back to 2014. That's nothing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been, you know, privy to a lot of this information majority of my life. You know what I'm saying? But you got it all down pat already. You know what I'm saying? You got 3 volumes here. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, like, so where did that appetite come from for you to be able to study the way that you do? And also, we'll get to the writing part after. Just tell me about the studying and you know, just being able to read that much and listen to those lectures. Like, what was in you already?
You know, well, from a young age, man, I was blessed. You know, I always tell people I'm a product of a 2-parent household. You know, when people look at me, I was raised by my mother and my father. Both of them are still married to this day. Was raised all through high school, great parents. But I saw my father just go to work, just constantly, man. I saw him retire my mother at a young age. As soon as my mother had my baby sister, which was 2001, you know, she hasn't worked since. You know, so I saw him just take care of business and strive to do the best. He used to put me on certain stuff. I used to get mad when I was young. I was probably like 5th grade, 4th grade. He was like, man, you got to clean every bathroom in the house. You got to take out the trash. I'm like, man, what? I want to go outside and play. Like, no other kid got to do this. Like, because, you know, at the time, I'm like 11. I'm 10, 11 years old. But he was teaching me from a young age to be able to do certain things without necessarily any reward from it. So I could always, even to this day, I could study, I could write without necessarily anybody buying my books, without any financial gain from it. I can just do those things because he taught me that from a young age. Like sometimes you're gonna have to put in work and it ain't gonna be no compensation. So I never got no chore money growing up. It was just like, nah, you gotta clean the restroom, trash need to be out, you need to help your mother cook or do whatever, until I get home, X, Y, and Z. So he taught me that at the young age, and just seeing him constantly go to work. And even though my father was very successful, he never spoiled us with anything. I never grew up with the Jordans or nothing like that. Now if I would ask him, he would get it. He see I really want it. He would get it for me. We never went to school, sleep hungry or anything like that. We grew up in a nice house, everything like that. But just seeing him constantly go to work every day. And that's the same mentality I transitioned into sports. I was never the biggest, stronger, or fastest, but I was always on the field, man. I was always working, trying to be the best. I was always up at 5 a.m. I was always the first one on the field, last one off the field, even in college, even up until I got hurt. So I took that same mentality and I put it into the study, the knowledge. I don't want to just know about it. I want to be the best at it. I even want to study what the trolls tell me when they out there trolling my page. Okay, is there some validity to that? I want to know. I want to know what you're gonna say before you even say it, because I didn't already studied. I didn't already know deep on that subject as well. So I've just always been like that, man. And it started at a young age. My father just teaching me, work ethic, going deeper, going the extra mile. Not half doing things. That's one thing I try to do, studying as well. Don't half study. Don't have look at something. Don't skim over the book. Read the whole book in its entirety. If you come across something you don't know, read that word. Go define that word. Get the definition on that. When you get to the sources, go see what the sources said about the information. Did they misinterpret the sources? So that's what I'm looking at, all the time. So just like I say, man, from a young age, is always having a knack for that, just being raised that way.
And what kind of student were you in school?
Oh man, I was an average student, who just didn't apply himself, because again, I majored in football. That was my whole thing. I majored in football. Now, when it came to the football, I was A1 from day one. I was always on the field, always working, always going the extra mile. But when it came to the classroom, hey man, what I need to, my whole thing was what I need to get a D1 scholarship. Okay, 2.5, 2.5 is what we're gonna do. And so that's how my mentality was at. My parents tried to push me. They always say, man, you're not applying yourself, X, Y, and Z. And they knew when I was slipping, they knew they could take away football and I would get back right. I've always had a knack for retaining information and study. I could go and, if we got a test the next day, just give me the study guide and I could just remember all of it. For that 24-hour, that crammer, I was a master crammer, and I could just recite it like that. So average student, but never really put forth any real effort. Now, one subject I always had an A in was history. I always had an A in history. So that's always been a love of mine. I think I get that from my father as well. My father always loved history. If you talk to my father today, he can tell you the capital of every state. He can, he just always loved history from history class. I've always had an A in history. The rest of the subjects, math, literature, C's. I always had C's in it. So
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Absolutely.
And so the writing process, man, help me out with that, because
right.
Like I said, you 4 books in. I got 3 of them, but you 4 books in. I've been working on a book for the last 2 years now. So what's the process? How do you get it done, man? From from idea to complete project for you?
Right. Man. My thing is, number one, when I get an idea for a book, I always outline it. Just make a rough outline. What do I want to talk about? And the outline is usually in the form of questions. So for example, I'm working on a book that's probably 3 years down the line now, Foundational Black Americans, on the history. So one question would be, what is a foundational Black American? Who are foundational Black Americans? What does foundational Black American, what groups does it make up of, X, Y, Z? So I'll write these outlines. I would write and I would look at questions that people ask me all the time about it, and I will put that in a section. What are things that we are always arguing about? I'll put that as a section, X, Y, and Z. So I'll just create maybe like a 20 question outline. And in that 20 questions, I began to write under those particular subjects. And I'm always writing like I'm having a conversation with somebody. I never wanted to be super scholarly, using a lot of huge words. I want to make it as simple as possible because I understand how I learn. You know, I don't get impressed when people start, you know, just a whole bunch of people call it plebiscite babble, just big words, and just get to the point, man. What I want it as simple as possible. I like to talk to people like I'm talking to a kindergartner. You know, kids they don't understand all that big stuff. You got to put it in very simple terms. And I think that's the best way to learn. And so, you know, when I was writing the Voice of the Ancestor series, I started off with a paragraph a day because, believe it or not, I'm not a writer. So I started off with a paragraph a day, every day. Then once I got comfortable with that, I went to 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs, then, you know, 2 pages, 3 pages a day until I got in the routine. And I never tried to overdo myself. If I say I was going to write 1 page that day, I wrote 1 page. I didn't overwrite myself because writer's block is real. That burnout is real. You know, everybody can start writing a book. Everybody's excited. I never forget. I called my mom in 2016 of November. It's like, man, Mom, I'm going to write this book. Everybody was excited. Oh, yeah, write that book, write that book. About week 2, I was like, man, I don't know about this.
It's hard.
Out, you know what I'm saying?
Hard.
Right. And I'm in college too, so I already got papers to write. I'm tired of writing. I don't want to write no more. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, you got to really pace yourself, you know, and be willing to sit there every day and you know, look at it almost like a job, like you go to job every day. You know, you ain't doing no extra hours. You clocking out when it's time to clock out.
Right.
You know, so that's how I looked at it. And like I say, wrote that page a day. So it took a 3-year process, but I eventually got there. So staying consistent is the biggest key to writing, man. Staying consistent and just getting those words on paper. Now they have certain apps like the voice app. So if you're not a writer, you'd rather just say it, it'll write it for you. That's a cool little app. Sometimes I did just to change things up. I had to use the voice app and kind of paste it on the paper, X, Y, and Z. But like I say, man, just staying consistent is the biggest key.
Right. Yeah. And you also got, you know, people who annotate, you know, they could just take this video right here and turn that into a book for you. You know what I'm saying? They just type the whole thing up for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's another cheat code right there for people out there who have the desire. You know what I'm saying? Nah. Do what you got to do.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Right. You got to get it on that paper, man, because it's well worth it. It's well worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've thought about going that route, but for me, I don't know. Like, I gotta write it because, like, when I talk, I'll be like, I mean, like it don't just flow like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be a lot of editing and stuff to go through. Like, I gotta just get my thoughts out and put it on paper. So I like some of the stuff that you said. I'm gonna definitely take that with me as far as breaking it down. You know what I'm saying? Paragraph a day, you know, a couple of paragraphs a day, a page a day, and pacing yourself that way. That's a great idea. But definitely take that with me because I need to get my book finished, man. It's been
man,
almost 2 years.
We need more Black books by Black authors. That's very important, man. I actually, my friend sent me a stats the other day, man. It's actually more doctors than there are authors. Period.
Wow.
You know, and I'm not just talking about Black authors. Period. White, Black, Latino, whatever. More people become doctors than they do authors. So, you know, that's important, man. We really got to tell our own story, you know, and this is the thing that's going to last the test of time. So.
Right.
So are there some things that you wish you learned or knew then that you know now that has made this process easier for you when writing?
I would say, man, just I've like, you know, the older I get, the less TV I watch. I used to watch a lot of TV, you know, just a lot of distractions, and also not chasing the quick dollar when writing and doing things like that. Like, you know, it took me three years to write because I would have months when I go home from the summer in college. I'm trying to get a job. I need some paper. I need, you know, forget the book stuff, you know, that's down the line. I should have really just honed in and focused on that book because once your mind gets generated, you know, it's kind of like if you're working out for months, like 2 or 3 months straight, you're in shape at that point. You don't want to stop right before you hit that goal. And I used to do a lot of that. A lot of times I would get in the mode where I'm reading, I'm really researching and things are clicking. And then I would stop because we out of school and start back doing summer. Then it's like trying to get back in that mode again and start writing. Like when you stop going to the gym and now you want to start going back again. It's like, dang, I should have just, I was right there. I should have just continued on that goal. Even if I tone it down a little bit, just continue on that goal. So I would say once you get in that mode, man, just keep going. Just stay consistent.
I wanted to give you guys also, I have a Hidden Colors story as well. So I took my son to a barber shop out here in Long Beach. He was probably like maybe 7 or 8 years old. I had never been before. And somebody told me about it because his barber was gone somewhere. He needed a haircut so bad. So I pull up. They got it's like NBA stuff all over the place. He's in the chair. He's talking to brothers about Hidden Colors, y'all. I don't know anything about it, but I'm just sitting there waiting, for my son's turn. And he gives me one, Hidden Colors 1. And so he's talking about it. So I'm telling my brother about it, who's like Christian crazy, by the way. So he was like, yeah, I heard about that. It's some demonic stuff in there. Like, you need to get rid of that because you're going to bring spirits in your house. Y'all, I pulled off at the barbershop that day and I threw it out of the window.
Really? Oh, wow.
Because it scared me because at that point, I was like still churchy. You know what I'm saying? So, here, and he had the name on there. I remember it was Hidden Colors. It was a bootleg. It was a bootleg too. And so I pulled off, and I threw it out of my window because my brother was telling me. I was telling him about it. Like, yeah, it sounded good when he was talking to me about it. But then I'm telling my brother about it. And he was like, those are spirits. And, you're going to bring those spirits into your house. And so I never, ever looked at it. So fast forward to 2014, 15, if someone on social media tells me about Tariq or whatever. So I start following him on social media. I ended up buying it. All the series and been locked in ever since. So been to several premieres. I've taken my son. I've taken my nephew. My mom has gone to premieres. She loves Tariq. So my mom's 74 years old. There's things that she's learned from him in Hidden Colors that she didn't know.
Right.
So, Hidden Colors has been, a tool for us all to get, to that knowledge and understanding of self. So shout out to Tariq again for that.
Right. And I tell people, man, that's one of the greatest documentaries I think of all time. I think we got to give credit where credit is due. And I'm somebody who I grew up in a all-black city, pretty much Atlanta. So it wasn't like, I went to all-black elementary school, all-black middle school, all-black high school, never heard any of the information. So it's not just about going to a school with a lot of black folks. And that's not to say that I went to bad schools, but the teachers probably just really didn't know because they were raised a certain way. So, man, that really changed the game, Hidden Colors.
It did.
For sure. And Chase, I'll be on your lives and all of that too. And so I know you get some of those people like her brother, coming on your live, challenging you as well, man. And I love the way that you handle, people who have opposing views or people, naysayers or whatever the case may be. What's that like? How do you deal with that type of stuff, man?
Man, well, one, I always look at, I try not to, I don't really tolerate any disrespect. So like if people coming on there disrespectful, I don't even entertain it. I just hit that block button. That's one of the most powerful buttons on Instagram. We need to start utilizing that some more. We like to entertain trolls a lot of times, But if people have genuine questions or they genuinely have a disagreement, of course, I'll bring them on and we chop up game and build, because a lot of times I think a lot of our people just be wanting attention sometimes. So they'll just say stuff for attention. Then they get on, they completely change their argument. And it's like, bro, you were not saying that in the comment section. You were talking crazy in the comment section, So a lot of times that's what it is. And then I come in from the mindset of not debating anybody, but just a build with them, because sometimes I have learned things from people who come on live, and they'll say things like, oh, I need to look into that. That's why I always ask for a source or something like that. Like, hey, where did you get that from? I need to read into that, so that's the thing, man. Just being open-minded, like I said, not tolerating any disrespect, but open-minded and coming to it with the mindset of a build and just understanding our people as well. A lot of our people really just be wanting attention. They want to be in the spotlight for a couple seconds And you know, they really just be wanting to talk to you. They don't really even want to challenge none of your points and nothing like that. So that's what it is,
They
brother.
just want to get on camera.
Right.
They see a large audience, and
right,
like you said,
right.
they just want some attention.
Right. And that's where the kind of unfortunately the jealousy starts to come in, and why he got this? I've been talking about this for I've been talking about this for 30 years. Ain't nobody ever came on. You know, it's one of those type of things. So it is what it is, man. Just come with the game.
And so speaking of social media, you know, you have managed to amass a large following on your social media platforms, and you know, I love the way that you create your content, the aesthetics of your videos and everything. You know what I'm saying? The way you edit and use the graphics and all of that stuff to make your page look fly and attractive. You know what I'm saying? For people to tap in and engage with your content. You know, I've bit off you a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? I took some pointers off you, like, oh no, that's how you do that. Okay, let me incorporate that right there. You know what I'm saying? I'll take that with me. So yeah, talk about that process and you know, some of the major keys for you to build that audience, to attract that audience on your page.
Man, the marketing is very important, man. You know, you got to get the message out to the masses. Shout out to my brother Pat, man. My brother Pat told me back in, oh man, when was this? Probably 2018. Man, we were chopping it up while I was still in college. He was like, man, you need an Instagram page. Because my plan was just to drop the book. You know, at this point, I was just going to drop the book on Amazon. You know, I've always been, before Chase got on Instagram, I've always been shy and laid back, honestly. You know, I never wanted to be on Front Street. I never been a partier, nothing like that. The big man on campus, everybody know me. I've always been low key. Like even people to this day, I just came from the Invest Fest in Atlanta that was here. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure. But people are like, man, I didn't know you went to Jacksonville State. I went to Jacksonville State. Like people still don't know. They never seen me on campus because I was so low key. I was in the library or in my room, or you know what I'm saying, chilling with my lady or something like that. Other than that, I'm real low key. And so, you know, my brother was like, man, you need to get on Instagram. You need to spread the message. You know, a lot of people, they're never going to read the book, but they'll get some information from the videos, X, Y, and Z. And so, you know, in 2018, I think it was June 1st, 2018, if I'm not mistaken, June 1st or July 1st, 2018, started the Voice of the Ancestors Instagram page with the same mentality as writing a book, just staying consistent. So I started off with one post a day. I was like, man, I'm going to just post one post a day. I'm going to try to keep it under 1 minute, you know. And when I posted it, that first one, I think I posted something about Garvey or something like that. It might not even been a video. I think it was just a picture of Marcus Garvey and telling you who he was and what he did. And it got a couple likes, X, Y, and Z. And I just stayed consistent. And I always been a person who valued people, what they call that? I've been a people person type person, like we're just communicating. So if somebody would comment, I would comment back. I will write them back. I've always been big on answering my DMs. You know, I never want to get
vouch for that.
Right. I never want to get big for that. Now it's a little hard because it's like 100 DMs a day, and I got other stuff to do. So I do miss out a lot of times because when I answer the DMs, it is me, family. It's not a bot. It's nobody. You know, I don't have a big old massive 50-person team answering my direct messages. So I've always been that type of person. And man, I want to say about 6 months in, I looked up about 6 months in, I was posting videos one time a day and I had about 10,000 followers. And once I got to 10,000 followers, it was just like a monster. Like the engine just kept roaming and kept roaming. Then I realized I got to start posting more than once a day. I started going up to twice, 3 times a day, 4 times a day. And eventually I looked up, like I say, and I got 100K, man. And then I had to start focusing on presentation, because then it got where I saw a drop in the reach, in the engagement. And that's when people had started putting words on the videos. So I was like, man, our attention span really getting short as the younger generation. We only want to do a 1 minute video. They want you to tell me what the video is this 60 seconds going to be about before I even give away my 60 seconds. So that's when I started, you know, incorporating the words on top of the videos, letting you know what the title was. Then I started putting an image on the side because, you know, our people visual people.
I bet that.
So right. So just learning over time, man. Just learning over time. What are people like, and just trying to give them as much information as possible in those 60 seconds or 2 minutes, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, I've been blessed, man, and the culture kind of caught on to it, and fortunately the book series dropped, and the rest is history, man.
Yeah, and not just history, but our brother gonna be in an upcoming movie with our other brother, Tariq.
Right.
Like, come on now.
Yes,
How was that?
Yeah.
I know you can't tell too much, and I honestly don't want to know because I want to see the movie. But
Right.
obviously, Tariq is very, I hear intricate when it comes to his movies, and you know what I'm saying. But how was that when he reached out to you? You know what I'm saying? If he reached out to you, like, what was that conversation like? What was that experience like for you?
Right.
And
let me say before you respond to
Okay.
that too, because I had the same question too. But yeah, I've been following you, I don't know, maybe like 2 years or something now. And when Tariq first started talking about doing the American Maroon film, in my mind, I'm like, I hope he get Chase. I hope he get Chase. I had you in mind, like, yo, you got to get Chase. We need the young brother. Right. And when I saw him going around and letting everybody know who was going to be in the film, and I saw you pop up, I was hyped. Yeah. I was happy for you, brother. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. How was that, man?
Man, it was crazy, man. Because like I said, I consider myself a Hidden Colors baby. You know what I'm saying? That's like down here in Atlanta, they say Grady baby, and I've been trying to get brothers to stop saying that for the longest. Please stop the history of Grady, but nonetheless, that's a story for another day. But I consider myself a Hidden Colors baby. So I remember, man, waking up, like, what I'm saying? I woke up, brushed my teeth, did my thing, man. And I got a bad habit. I'll wake up, brush my teeth, and then lay back in the bed and nod off again. So I kind of nodded off again, and I got back up and checked my phone, and I see Tariq had DM me. And I was like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? So it was like one of those things. And, he was just asking me, if I was still in Atlanta, X, Y, and Z. And like I said, man, that was a crazy experience because, like I say, Hidden Colors brought me into the game. And I remember telling myself, like, bro, I'm going to be in Hidden Colors one day. Because I know Tariq used to always say he was trying to get more of the younger generation. Right. He didn't want it to just be a thing with the elders or speaking on certain things. You want to get more of the younger generation, man. So when he got me in that, it was magical, man. And just going out there recording, it was a great experience because that's my first time really doing professional work, so it's a difference between doing professional work and kind of just going off on the YouTube or the lives where you don't really have a script. You can kind of take your time, do what you want to do, talk about what you want to talk about. And so, man, when he, brought me on the set we filmed down here in Atlanta, it was like, what I'm saying? I was a little bit nervous. I don't usually get nervous like that because, I've been doing this for, a couple of years now. So I was like, man, it was just one of them things. And then we were filming outside. So what would happen is a train will come by and we have to stop and start over. And so I'll forget my thought because I notice I'm a flower. I'm the type of person I start off slow, then I build. And once I start building, things just start, my mind just starts snapping and I just start going everywhere. All the information, comes to me. So that's funny history. I don't even be trying to be funny, Nah,
you're hilarious.
Man. But I'm a builder. So, when the train will come by, we have to stop and start over. A bird to start chirping, a bird to fly in the scene, had to stop and start over. So it was a great learning lesson, man. Then just chopping it up with Tariq. I got to meet Dr. Ma'at was on the set. So I got introduced to Dr. Ma'at. Yeah. Right. She was on the set, man. And, it was a hell of an experience, man. And I was just honored. So I asked Tariq, how did he come across me? He said, actually, I got recommended by Baba Kaba. He said, he taught Baba Kaba. Baba Kaba recommended me. So, man, I was honored by that. One of the elders, recommended me, who's a master teacher in the game, man. Sometimes I be listening to Baba Kaba when I'm trying to go to sleep. I can fall asleep just listening to all the information, and his lectures he's been doing before I was born, so that was another great honor, when he told me that. So like I said, it was just a magical experience, man. And I'm excited you know, about the American Maroon film. I heard it's supposed to come out maybe at the end of the month. So, you know, y'all be on the lookout for that. You know, I'm trying to see, man.
Absolutely. Hopefully they do a premiere down here in Atlanta.
Right.
I'm definitely pulling up for that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Because I think it's supposed to be 4 parts.
Yeah.
So this is the first time he's trying, because I think he got his own streaming service now. Right. So it's supposed to be like 4 parts. So I'm very interested. Very interested to see, you know, how it turned out. I'm gonna still be kind of nervous because I'm like, damn, I hope not, you know, because I'm one of the people
flamed it. You flamed it, you know.
Yeah, I'm just one of the people, man. You know, I just like I nitpick it, you know.
Right.
Because that's how I always been. I always trying to see where I can get better at. And it was just a great learning experience. You know, I'm one of the type of people, when you get in the car, you're like, damn, I should have said that. I should you know what I'm saying? Like, man, I should have said that. So, like I say, it's just learning experience. You know, you go from there.
That's because
how did you prepare, though? How did you prepare for that? Like, you know, obviously you don't know. I guess, does he just say, okay, go for it? Like, or, you know what I'm saying?
No. Actually, Brother Tariq, man, I love the way he does it. He sends you the questions he's going to ask you.
Oh, good.
So he sent it to me about 3 or 4 days beforehand, because he kind of got me at the last minute. You know, he was like, man, I'll be down in Atlanta. So he sent it to me maybe about 3 or 4 days beforehand, or about 5 days, maybe a week at the most beforehand. So he sent me the script of what he was going to ask me. Is about 20, 25 questions. And then he said, the questions that you want to answer, just circle them. If you don't feel comfortable answering a certain question, you know, I won't ask you that question, X, Y, and Z. You know, I circled all of them. I want all of them. You know what I'm saying? So, right. So,
I'm trying to be the star of this thing.
Exactly. So, you know, I went back to my college days, study guide days. So, you know, I just answered the questions from the top of my dome, wrote them down. And, you know, went from there. And then, you know, the big thing was going back and getting the sources, because I know certain information is correct, but I read it so long ago. I got to go back and be like, bro, where did I get that originally from? Because that's always my big thing. I don't ever want to make it about me. I don't want to put all the trust in me. I think that's one of the big things we have in the Black community. We got to stop doing is we put too much trust in a particular person. You know, so I want you to trust the source. I want to go and tell you where I got it from. Right. So that was my big thing. That took me a little while to go back and find the source of where I got it from. And then when I got to the set, you know, he kind of just reads off the script, and it's kind of like a conversation. Like me and y'all, we chopping up game right now. It's kind of like that, and y'all answering me questions. So, you know, that's how it was, man. And it was, like I say, man, it was a magical experience. And I'm very excited to see American Maroon and come out.
See you.
Man,
I'm excited to see you.
Absolutely. I thank y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. All the love and support. You know, and I was just glad, you know, we could do it organically. I've never, even with Baba Kaba, I've never been that type of person who just harassing people to get on. Hey, man, can I interview you? All of my connections kind of came organically. People recommended me to other people, Professor Smalls, Professor this. So, and that's something I learned from my pops. Like, man, let your work stand out.
Right.
Don't be that type of person. You trying to get the A-list names before you put in any work. You know, they need to know about you as well. Like, hey, this Brother Chase, this is what you bring to the table, X, Y, and Z. So I was just happy that my work has stood out, you know, so much. I had 4 books in the game at that point. You know, I had been doing it maybe about 8 years from 2014 to now, you know, so my work was standing out.
That's a fact, man. So just being consistent and, you know, adding value, you know what I'm saying? Bringing value and being consistent and having integrity behind your work. And, you know, you were able to attract, you know, how did the initial contact come with Dr. Kaba? I see you build with Dr. Kaba a lot.
Man, Baba Kaba, I had noticed, you know, on Instagram, because very few elders are on the ground. Right. You know what I'm saying? I be trying to get Baba Smalls on the ground. He be like, yeah, brother says I'm gonna get on there, and then Baba don't never get on there. I gotta call Baba tonight. Matter of fact,
need a team. He need a team.
Right. He need a team. And I told him, you know, I was gonna try to see if I could run the page, but I'm running so many pages. You know, I was like, maybe not say that just yet. You know, I'm gonna wait till I get me a team, and then I can start, you know what I'm saying, kind of venturing out. But I saw somebody had told me, hey man, you know, Baba Kaba got a page. And I was like, is that his page, or is this somebody? You know, we'll create a page in a second and just put somebody else's name on it. And they were like, no, this is really Baba Kaba page. And so I followed him, X, Y, and Z, and I started tagging him in the post. you know, and he was like, man, I was getting all this traffic on my page from your page. You know, he was like, I was going from like 1,000 to like 10,000 in like a month just off the traffic that was coming to your page. And I'm like, man, that's the least I can do. I'm reposting your video, you know, that you got. And so naturally, you know, we started to comment on each other's posts, X, Y, and Z, just, you know, like, you know, emoji, fire emoji or whatever. And then sure enough, man, I said, man, I need to bring Bob on for a build. He follows the page. I saw he was following the page. I saw his son, shout out to Brother Haru. He was following the page. I think he does a lot of his social media as well. Baba Kaba's social media, his son does it. And then I just happened to DM him. I was like, hey, Baba, you know, we're trying to do a interview and a build. You know, can I get you on? And he hit me right back, man. He's like, oh, yeah, Brother Chase, let's set it up. And, you know, the rest is history. I think I called him. Yeah, I called him the night before. He told me to call him. So he gave me his number. He told me to call him. He just wanted to, you know, I guess make sure I was a real person, you know, which is fair in today's time, X, Y, Z, you know, who you interviewing with. And, man, we'd had a strong connection ever since then, man. And I've been blessed to not only have him on my platform, but be on other builds with him. You see what I'm saying? Yes, so on other people's platforms. So that was a great honor, man. And he gives me a lot of sources, man. Just so much information Baba gives me. You know, I'm studying the Black presence out west now in the Western United States, the Midwest, and out to California prior to the 1800s. And he gives me so many sources. I'm like, man. You know, so that's where my study is at now, you know, for my future book series, Foundational Black Americans. So, you know, it's just been a knowledge field pool that I'm just tapping into constantly.
Man.
Yes, indeed, man.
It's great to watch, man.
Say again.
Go ahead. I was saying you're a walking library yourself. All this stuff that you're studying, they're writing books, like you're walking. It's a library in there.
Yeah, I don't be seeing it like that. People be saying like, nah, I don't be seeing it like just, I feel like I'm a student. That's what I always tell them. I just feel like I'm a student of the game, and I'm just sharing my journey with y'all. I'm just sharing the knowledge that I have because it's so limited. Because Queen, when you start tapping in, it's like, bro, we got so much information we don't even know about. You know, even when I went to Kemet, it's a reason why you got Egyptology. It's a whole subject. People spend a whole career just studying that, and they still don't grasp it. That's just one civilization. Like, it's just so much information, you know, to really study, to really dive into, that I'm just always, you know, just trying to get more and more and more. So I always feel like I'm a student. And then, like I say, listening to Baba Kaba, Professor Smalls, Dr. Phil Valentine's over the years, it's like, man, I don't be knowing that. So that's how I'm looking at it. So to me, they're the walking libraries.
How was that experience in Kemet?
Oh, it was magical. It was magical. You know, that was my first international trip. So that was my first time being outside of the United States. You know, I was blessed from a young age. One thing about my father, he took me all over the United States. So I'd have been all over, damn near all 50 states. You know what I'm saying? So travel. But that was the first time. My pops doesn't like to fly. So we never flew anywhere. We were always driving. So we never been international. So when I went to Kemet, I always said when I came into the knowledge, being that was kind of the first subject you gravitate towards. I think everybody, when they come into consciousness, they naturally gravitate towards Kemet because the pyramids and what you've been hearing for so long, and also seeing how white people steal a lot of the Kemetic architecture.
It's on the money. It's everywhere.
Right. Kemet is everywhere. So going to Kemet, man, like I say, was magical, seeing it in person, really seeing how big these pyramids are. You know, it's one thing to understand they're 481 feet. It's another thing to really be in front of it, really see how big this stone is, and imagine trying to move this stone into place, really taking out a card and trying to slide it between the stone, and it won't slide between because that's how perfectly cut they are. You know, so it's amazing. And going inside the pyramid and feeling the energy inside the pyramid was just, you know, it was magical. And I happened to go with 80 other like-minded Black people. So that was even better. It wasn't like I was there by myself. You had 80 like-minded Black people from all over the United States who were there with us. So
was it with Tony Browder?
No, it was with AKBAM. Shout out, that's Brother Ty Key and Sister Felicia with Happy. So Happy Talks. I don't know if y'all familiar with that page, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. They have a lot of the elders on X, Y, and Z. So they did it with their company, Cashapp Tours, which is a travel tour company, and it was fantastic, man. We stayed at the best hotels. We didn't just go to Cairo. We went to Cairo for 3 days. Well, I was there for 2 days. I missed my flight. So I was stuck at JFK for a whole day, man. I missed my flight, had to pay an extra $1,000 just to go again to get my ticket rebooked, man. They be wilding out there at JFK, man. So yeah, man, went to Cairo for 2 days. Then we flew down to Luxor, which is where a lot of temples are as well. And then last couple of days, we were in Aswan. That's where a lot of the brothers and sisters, black brothers and sisters, Nubian as they call them, look like us. They were down in Aswan. So we went all over Egypt or all down the Nile, and it was spectacular, man.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, man.
I was going to ask too, are there people that look like us there? Because obviously when you're looking on social media and when other people go, you see the people that are touring there. You don't see the locals that look like you. So I was definitely going to ask, like,
right. They're pushed further down. They're in the kind of the south, like Aswan. It's a lot of brothers and sisters there. They actually, and I can talk about it now. We were originally supposed to go on a trip in February. The Egyptian government actually, it was a lot of pushback. They actually canceled the trip because they were going to do a conference called One Africa. So they didn't want us doing that. We were talking about, the Black Egyptians, things of that nature. So they didn't want us doing that. So they canceled the trip. So we went again in June, early June. I believe it was May 31st through June 7th. We actually went, and they told us, from what we're hearing, or from what I heard, we couldn't even go to the village. We were supposed to go to the Nubian village in Aswan, but they didn't want us going because they didn't want that type of connection being formed.
Wow.
So that's a very real thing out there, but we still had a chance because a lot of the Nubian brothers and sisters, they work at the hotel we were at. So in Aswan, so they were the ones giving us boat rides because the hotel was on an island. So you come from the island to the mainland. So they were the ones giving us boat rides, and we can kind of free to move. So our first night there, everybody was kind of chilling. So I went down there, me and a couple other folks, we paid for a boat tour around the island XYZ, and it was some Nubian brothers. They were giving us some game on that. And, they were saying we're still here. They're blacker than us, afros and stuff like that. So they were like, we're still here, but they definitely don't want that connection. We had people from the government following us around everywhere we went. They were just, you could tell they were really nervous, because I think as foundational Black Americans, we're seen as the rebel starters wherever we go.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
We know about y'all. Don't come over here with none of this black power and all that. We like our Negroes where they are over here. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of had that mentality. And so, like I say, man, I think we definitely known as the troublemakers to their little system wherever we go. So
they know who they got over here.
Absolutely.
They know that their lies are going to be uncovered. If you connect with the Nubian people, then their lies are going to be uncovered. Oh, so you guys are not just murderers and rapists.
Right,
you guys
right.
are, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, man, because we had the masters. We had Mfundishi with us, and we we loud and proud with it. Hey, these black, we at the temples, and the white people are kind of just scooting by, X, Y, and Z. So I think we're kind of known. They know when the so-called Black American comes. They're going to come loud and proud with it. They ain't hesitating, and they're going to give brothers and sisters over their game, and they really try to keep that from happening. So I was told we couldn't go to the Nubian village and visit them. That was part of the conditions of us going. So, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's actual policy.
Right. Actual policy. Because I think on the first trip, it was supposed to be like 250 of us. And the one in February, but a lot of people wanted their money back after it was canceled. I stuck with it, so it ended up being 80 of us that went on the trip. But man, so they really did not want that to happen. There was too many people coming over, too many foundational Black Americans coming over there. Like, nah,
you FBA niggas, no.
Yeah, no.
So, any other bucket list destination or next destination that you have in mind for a study trip?
Man, I'm talking to the homies now. I think I'm gonna go to Jamaica in November. I want to go there. I want to go to the Maroon villages where Nanny and them were. I want to go there. That would be like a quick trip, maybe like 4 days, 5 days, some, you know, it's a quick little flight. You know, once you fly to Egypt, you feel like you can fly anywhere, man. I was on the flight 12 hours.
Crazy.
So I was over there, you know, man, just dying, you know, because I'm like, man, you take 3 or 4 naps, you still on the flight. You still got 6 hours left. So it was just, it was one of those things. And it was so hot over there. It's a different type of hot. I don't never complain about Atlanta weather or nothing like that. No more, man. It's extremely hot. The sun comes up at 4 a.m. So I kept thinking I overslept over there in Egypt. And it's like, no, it's only 4:30 in the morning, but the sun is up. So it's one of those things. So, but like I was saying, long story short, I want to go to Jamaica in November. Then I said I wanted to go to like Tanzania or South Africa sometime next year. I said at the end of the year, but I don't think I'll be able to make it at the end of the year. So, you know, that's a couple of my things, and just want to go and just really get some game from brothers and sisters all over. Like I said, as a foundational Black American, I don't hate any brothers and sisters, especially the ones that are on code and ride. Absolutely. I want to go there and just build a network with brothers and sisters that are there, that are on code with us. You know, we on code with people who are on code with us. So, you know, and I want to go there and really show people how you supposed to approach people when you go to other places. You know what I'm saying? I'm not moving with no disrespect or nothing like that. I'm coming there and I'm paying homage. I want to pay homage to the Maroons that helped me to be able to step foot on the island of Jamaica. Nanny, I want to pour out some libations for them and come with respect. I'm not coming there cocky and arrogant and you know, talking about we built Jamaica or whatever. I'm not doing all that goofy stuff. Right. So, you know, just showing people how to move. So we might go out there and document it. You know, just a little bit like that, and just really network with the real riders that are out there, you know, because they don't really get along with the coons either that they be coming over here. And that's another thing brothers been telling me. Right. They were like, listen, we ran them out of Jamaica. That's why they over there with y'all. You know, so that's the whole thing. I'm like, listen, y'all need to give us a little heads up, though, before you send them over here.
You feel
That's
me?
all I'm saying.
Right.
You know, right. Give us a little head up. Give me a little alley-oop before they come over here, though. So, yeah, man.
Any plans to do any lectures or anything like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I would love to hear you speaking. Like, I'm engaged. Like, you know, it's great. I want to read the books. Don't get me wrong. But I would like to see you and hear you. So any plans to maybe do some, you know, lectures and stuff like that?
I never really consider myself a lecturer. So, no, I don't really have any plans of doing any lectures. I plan on getting into the physical. I feel like right now, Voice of the Ancestors is kind of just an online thing. I really want to get into the physical. Down here in Atlanta, we have something called Black Wall Street at Stonecrest. You know, so I've been thinking about getting a spot out there, a physical spot that's just showcasing my books, but really a think tank type place where we can go and have a physical location. We can come and build like, hey, man, we're going to build in the store just for a select few. You know, because that's one thing I learned in Kemet. A lot of the temples that they were taking us into, they were like, listen, only the high priest, only the pharaoh can come in here. This is a place, this wasn't meant for the public. This wasn't meant for every Joe Blow that was in Kemet walking around Kemet. They can go in the front room, but they couldn't go in the back rooms. The back rooms is limited. That's where the game was really being chopped up. That's where the knowledge, that's where the degrees and the high levels of comedic science were being chopped up. So that's what I want to kind of try to do, get into the physical this year. Going into next year. So I want to really kind of get a physical location where we can really just chop it up. That's my primary focus. But to answer your question, I never really see myself as a lecturer. I feel like we got a lot of great speakers out there, better speakers than me, you know, that can kind of do that work. I want to kind of be known as a builder. So like, you know, when you're talking about when, you know, my life is over, where you talk about, oh man, that's the bank Chase started. That's the bookstore. That's the school, you know, building. So that's what I'm kind of on right now.
Yeah, man. And tap me in for that, you know, that sanctuary, man. I'm down here. I'm in Gwinnett. You know, that sounds like something very fly that I would love to be a part of. Anything I could do to contribute.
Absolutely.
You know, just know that I'm here for that.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned being out there with the Happy family out there in Egypt and all that. And we saw the interview that you did with Brother James Smalls, Dr. Kaba, talking about foundational Black Americans, not versus the diaspora, but you know, that whole conversation. and we even streamed it here on our channel. You know, we did like a
Okay.
little watch party, and we were
Right.
building on it and all of that. And that's the
Right.
reason. A part of that was the reason why I chose the Anthony Browder clip to open up today's show with, because you know, there was certain parts in there where, as Professor James Small described it, he had to spank you a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He had to reel you back in a little bit, and
Right.
and I was watching you, and I was watching you be receptive to it and be respectful of it. You know what I'm saying? And still standing on your square, representing, you know, your generation and the sentiment that we have as far as this whole conversation goes.
Right.
But you know, it was fly to just witness them passing the torch to you that way, and seeing you step up to the plate to, you know, being willing to accept that path, you know, walking down that path. So I don't even know what my question was about that.
Right.
I think, how does that feel though? You know, speaking to the elders whom, you know, of course you met them through Hidden Colors, right? Now,
Right.
you know, you're sitting down and building with these men, these great scholars who've taught you, who've taught me, you know. So how does that feel that they're saying, you know, we believe you, we
Right.
trust you? You know what I'm saying? What
Right.
is that feeling like, you know, coming
Man,
from those great men?
Right. It was an honor, you know, and I watched the playback of it, you know, of the conversation that we had on Happy Talks, and I really feel as if it wasn't even really a disagreement with the elders per se. You know, they were kind of really just telling me, don't let these folks get in your head, type thing. Like, listen, you're gonna have pushback no matter what you do. We didn't have pushback. You know, they might not refer to it as FBA. They might refer to it as African American, but they're talking about essentially the same people who can trace their lineage back to slavery. That's who they're calling the African American. You know, and they're saying, listen, man, don't let these folks get you kind of into a game of back and forth arguing game with them X, Y, and Z. That's how I kind of took out of it. And you know, like I said, man, it was a great honor, you know, just being on a platform with them. You know, I didn't even realize that. I look back on it and I was like, man, I didn't really talk nothing but 15 minutes, 20 minutes out of the whole 3 hours, you know, but it was beautiful because I could listen to them talk all day, you know. The elders talk all day, but man, just that they would think of me in such a high regard is truly an honor. It's truly an honor, and you know, I just want to try to continue to push, continue to strive for excellence, continue to do the work in their honor. You know.
Right. Yeah, I think it was appropriate. You know what I'm saying? The amount of time that you chimed in. You know what I'm saying? And just from the outside looking in, you know. It showed, you know, a certain amount of respect, you know what I'm saying, that they have for you as well as that you have for them. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, the fact that you was even there, and then the way that they spoke about you and spoke about your work. You know, Dr. Kaba, you know, he's reading your book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. Yeah.
He's reading your book and co-signing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, and that's what I was telling the elders, you know, when I got off, Bob, and I'm like, listen, man, the Foundation of Black America, we're doing it in defense of y'all. Because we know how much y'all contributed to Pan-Africanism. We know how much we kind of play shy, but dude, Foundation of Black Americans have educated the world on their history. Black folks around the world, man.
Yes.
You know, I've talked to brothers from Jamaica like, dude, I didn't know nothing about the Maroons. I didn't know nothing about, you know, what Brother Tariq did with 1804, man. A lot of Haitians don't want to admit it. They didn't know all that information.
They didn't know.
You know, that brother brought forth so much light, wisdom, and information about the 1804 Haitian Revolution. They teach that in their schools now. You see what I'm saying? Based off that interview, and he did it in a respectful way where he brought their scholars. He brought Mama Bello and others to the table to present that information. You know, so that's why I was telling Baba Smalls and Baba Kaba when we got off, you know, I'm doing it for y'all. You know, because we're not going to tolerate people disrespecting us with all we've given to the diaspora, you know, because that's a disrespect to the elders. That's a disrespect to the ancestors that came before you. And I would feel funny style just sitting up there listening to people disrespect the people who helped pave the way for me and the Black immigrants who come over here. So that's the thing, you know. So it was a great conversation. We're supposed to hopefully we do another one because I still feel like we need to still do a little bit of house cleaning. Definitely. You know, with a lot of the conversation really really just cleaning it up and understanding what we stand for as foundational Black Americans, and it's a lineage with no leaders. We out here, leading ourselves as a whole. So that's the thing.
Right.
I think a lot of the people in the diaspora, the ones who are, purposely acting like they don't understand, and Sincere and I kind of go back and forth because I don't like to give people passes. I'm one of those people. I'll be like, they know. He'd be like, no, because, so he'll give me a great perspective, but I still be like, no, them niggas know. like I just cannot believe, even if you're not abreast of all the history, I'm still learning. I did not come into consciousness until 2014, 15 myself. I'm in my 40s. You know what I'm saying? Right. I have a 27-year-old daughter. So I'm new to this too, and I'm learning too. But I just will not give people a pass and pretending that you do not know who we are and what we need. If you know, if you can quote MLK, you know something.
Right. And I understand that as well, Queen. And people do use that as a crutch, the whole miseducation. You have to educate us. They use that kind of as a crutch. And to me, I always tell people, and that's what I'm kind of veering towards. That's why I want to write the book about foundational Black Americans, which would be a 3-part series, kind of like Voice of the Ancestors, but just specifically about our lineage, because a lot of people are using, like I say, miseducation as a crutch, but we're in the information era. That's another thing. Right. They understand, like you say, they understand who we are. I always tell people we're formerly known as Akata. Okay, right. that's what you call us. You know we're a specific group. You know exactly who we are when it's something negative. Exactly. You know exactly that you ain't one of us. So that's that thing. So we kind of, like I say, getting a lot of straightening out the way for a lot of people. But I think we're transitioning into a period as foundational Black Americans where we're not gonna keep arguing and going back and forth, because other groups don't do that. Jamaicans don't argue about being Jamaican. Haitians don't argue about being Haitian with other groups of people. They say, I'm Haitian. It is what it is. If you don't like it, so what?
But why aren't they called? We've been asking this question though, because they're of African descent too, just like we are, genetically, right?
Right.
Why aren't they called African Jamaicans or Jamaican African? Like, why isn't it okay for us to say foundational Black American? And that's offensive at this point, but they can get away with who they are, and they look like us, right? They wear the uniform, but I don't understand why can't we say, or why don't they say, I'm African Haitian? Like, where's your African?
Right. A brother asked me that the other day, and I think so many people, so many Black folks around the diaspora, they eat off us so much that they understand if we start identifying as a unique group, they're not going to have that option to eat off us. Just like I was talking to a sister the other day, and she said, well, I'm both. I'm an African American and I'm a Nigerian American. I said, oh, okay, cool. Where your parents from? Well, both of them are from Nigeria. So I was like, how you African? Well, I'm an African in America. And I say, see, that's the problem. Y'all can do that at will. Y'all can come here, and when it's something good that you want to latch on to, you're African American. Then when we do something bad, well, I'm Nigerian. Right. It's that whole game. We don't have that option. And that's why I think we've seen the loophole in African American. I seen somebody say Elon Musk was an African American, and technically, you really can't argue with him when that he's born in South Africa. He lives in America now. He's an African American, and we've seen the loophole in that game. And so a lot of people are nervous because now we're doing a little bit of straightening, and now the accomplishments you're gonna have to hold, but also the trash too. So when some Nigerians do some trash stuff, you ain't gonna be able to just say, well, they're Black Americans, right? Or they're African American, right? They ain't FBA. We're gonna let y'all hold the trash, let y'all hold y'all treasures as well, but you're gonna have to hold the trash too. So a lot of people are getting nervous about that, man.
It's an important conversation, man. To be, we're gonna continue having it on our end. I hope that you get back together with the elders and further build on that as well, because it was a conversation that I've been wanting to have with you for a while. When I first realized on Twitter that there was a lot of confusion coming in the game with people who are FBA and waved the FBA banner, who were just saying a lot of stuff that ain't true. We ain't African at all whatsoever. We ain't got nothing to do with Africa. these other folks ain't black. You know, it was a lot of other stuff coming into the game with people who are actually FBA and waving the FBA banner, just saying stuff that's just historically inaccurate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I'm like, yo, we gotta get the young brother Chase to come in this conversation, because I know you're not on Twitter like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotta get a Twitter. People been telling me
You gotta come on. It's lit over there.
It's so much, it's so much stuff that I be running so much stuff. I got like 4 pages on Instagram. So I was like, oh man, should I get a Twitter? But I need to get a Twitter as well. And I see a lot of our people.
I almost want to tell you now, don't do it.
Right. It's crazy. It's a whole new monster.
I almost want to tell you, don't do it to yourself, bro. Yo,
there's a lot going on.
Only thing I will say, and I know you know how to handle yourself. You know how to move out here, but you definitely have to be selective. You know what I'm saying? With the spaces and stuff and the people that you decide to tag, you have to be very selective, because it can drain you if you allow it. It can drain you if you allow it.
Right. To, just the titles of your book, Voices of the Ancestors. Growing up, most of us have heard and heard other people say, we got Indian in our family, right? And I think that when we would get teased about it, because I know some of the girls was like, girl, you just saying that, you know, you want to be something other than black.
Not to be black.
Right. If she had a slight, curl to her hair and says, well, I got Indian in my family. And I just came, recent, I was like, well, maybe someone gave us this information, because we've been hearing it for so long. And I was saying, well, was that the ancestors? Because obviously they weren't able to read, they weren't able to write, but they were trying to let their children and their children's children know who they were. Do you think that's where that comes from?
Are you saying
like the indigenous parts of us? Yeah, man.
Right. I said that the other day, and I said, man, all foundational Black Americans, grandma said we had Indian in the family. And I was like those girls that were telling you that the other day. I was like them at one point in time, man. Right. Like those, we just don't want to be African. And now I laugh when people throw that at me, because I'm like, bro, I was in that same position. It's kind of funny, just listening to it. But yeah, I definitely think that's the ancestors talking to us. When we understand and we get into the knowledge, understanding that the first people of the Americas were African people or Black people, Aboriginal, or whatever you choose to identify yourself as. People who look like us were the first people of the Americas, of Europe, of Asia, of all over. I definitely think it's some validity to that. And I think one of the things that the European, he really got us on, is he introduced a racial caste system. And even a lot of the so-called Native American tribes today, these are European names. Seminole is a European. That's a Spanish corruption of Cimarron that simply means runaway. So everybody who ran away, he now called you a Seminole. It's no such thing as a real. That Seminole is not an indigenous word. That's not a particular tribe of people. But he just called everybody who ran away down into Florida, all of them are Seminoles. Okay, what you got from Cimarron, that means runaway. Every Native person he saw by the creek, he called Creek Indian. They all of them by the creek, they the Creek Indians. And these are going to be the 5 civilized tribes, X, Y, and Z. So, I think that's important to understand. I think it's definitely some validity to what our grandparents were saying. I know it's some validity to what our grandparents were saying. That's what I kind of documented in my last book, 19 White Men Who Admitted There Were Indigenous Black People in the Americas. That is some definite truth to that. And we got to really start to dive in that, really start to look at that. And that's what foundational Black Americans include, the Black Aboriginal people who were in the America, who were the first people of America. Many of these people reclassified, the Yamasee, the Yuchi, people who the European called the Seminoles. All these people were there. And mindful, and I tell people this, and this is what I'm going to talk about in the Foundational Black American book series. That's probably going to be years from now when they come out. But we're just dealing with the East Coast of the United States. A lot of people don't understand that. When we're dealing with history prior to the 1800s, we're dealing with the southeast and the northeast parts of the United States, really the former 13 colonies, because the Louisiana territories is controlled by the French. So the English don't even talk about what was going on over there. The rest of the territories is controlled by the Spanish, the former Mexican territories. That's California, all that. But there's Black people being documented out there. Theodore Johnson, an explorer who came from the northeast parts of the United States, when he traveled to California in the 1850s, he said, damn, it's an African tribe out here. When he went out to places like California, Lewis Corris, painted these people in his book. Some explorers claim out there they call them the Digger Indians. Okay, jet black complexion people. This is in the 1800s. They've been out there the whole time. So this is where people come in and say, man, my grandma said they weren't never no slaves. It's some validity to that, because when slavery was going on, these folks were on the Pacific part of the United States. This wasn't even part of the United States back then. And by the time it became part of the United States, we're dealing with probably like the 1850s to 1865, a 15-year period where slavery's over after that. So you have a lot of people who hadn't experienced that. You have the Osage. They ain't experienced that, or they were fighting off the slave trade. You have the Utes, where Utah gets his name, the Ute Indians. These were black folks who were fighting against slavery, things of that nature, against the Mormons. So, I mean, it's so much history that we, like I said, we're trying to piece together that we don't even talk about. And this is why I'm trying to pick up another language as well, because a lot of that information is written in French, it's written in Spanish, and we can't, because we're English speakers, we can't translate that information. So, you know, I'm learning French now. So, you know, it's been a challenge, man, but just trying to really get to the source of the information.
Yeah. And that was the fly thing about like Sheikh Anta Ivan Van Sertima. These people were multilinguistic, you know what I'm saying? Historians, you know what I'm saying? Right. So they brought a lot of the information to us that was translated from a lot of those old documents, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
And that's you know, that's, like I said, that's very important at the end of the day, man. We got to start to break that language barrier. Even reading Jack D. Forbes, I don't know if y'all read it, Africans and Native Americans, classic read. But he's one of the Native Americans of Mongoloid persuasion, but he talks about the reclassification of the black ones.
Did you post a video of him?
Yeah, a while ago. I need to post some more videos of him, a while with him, but he was breaking down the whole mulatto term, how mulatto was initially applied to people of black and native descent, and it got changed to black and European descent, you know, to kind of remove that native undertone from it. So yeah, man, like I say, it's so much history we got to dive into. And, you know, I'm doing the research on my family down in Mississippi. One of my family members, Cool Papa Bell, who is in the Negro League Hall of Fame and the MLB Hall of Fame, he talks about in his autobiography that part of our family stayed in Mississippi. The other part went to live on the reservations in Oklahoma, Choctaw reservations, and that they were straight up Indians. So, you know, I'm diving into that now.
Say his name again, because it broke up a little bit. So say his name again. Say your family member's name again.
Cool Papa Bell.
Cool Papa Bell. Okay.
Cool Papa Bell. Yeah, he's in the Negro League Hall of Fame and the MLB Hall of Fame as well. Said to be one of the fastest men to ever run on the baseball field. So a legend in his own right. But he talks about who would be my, I believe, great-great-grandfather, King Hall. And King Hall was full-blooded Choctaw. And he talked about how his grandfather told him most of the family went to go live on reservations in Oklahoma, because that's when the Europeans were kind of galvanizing a lot of folks up and putting them on those reservations in Oklahoma, the Seminole, the Choctaw, you know, having them split that land. And so that's something I'm definitely looking into now and trying to research.
Yeah. Yeah, I do get confused with some of that history, and I need to go a little deeper myself, because we know that some of those tribes actually had slaves. They held black people as slaves. You know what I'm saying? Even after, you know, emancipation and all that, they were still holding slaves and had to be forced to let them go. And they were supposed to be included in the peace treaties, and you know, they were kicked out of the tribes. And so I get confused about some of that history. Like, okay, so were these other indigenous people that look like us that were enslaving their own people, or was it the Mongoloid? Like,
it's the Mongoloid, and it's the thing we got to understand, brother. Again, the European introduced a racial caste system. So you had many different complexion of Choctaw people. You had some who fit the Mongoloid persuasion. Then you had others who looked like us. Okay, the European came in and said, no, he's an African because I said he's an African, or he's black because I said he's black. These are the real Indians. And we kept saying, no, all of us. What do you mean he's the real Indian? This is us too. This is our stuff too. You know, so we came in with that type of mentality. We didn't look at ourselves based on racial concepts. We looked at it as a tribe. That's why all up and down, even during the Seminole Wars, a lot of those wars, especially the Second Seminole War with Osceola went to war because they stole his wife, who was a black woman, Morning Dew. You know, I'm giving y'all gems from the movie. I came off of. We get mad at me. We get mad at me. But
well, we gotta tease. We gotta tease, y'all. We gotta tease.
Yeah, got a little tease, but you know, and that's just general history. But
y'all gotta get the books, family. Y'all gotta get the books. Y'all gotta watch the film when it comes out. Yeah, man. You know, we could build with you on the history all day long, and I know you could just pour into us like that. But we got to talk a little bit of business too, man. We need y'all to get the books. Let me pull up the
absolutely.
Let me pull up the website here, man. Let everybody know. Oh, I should have had my banner. I don't even got my banner going. Let me get on point here. Let everybody know where they could go to find the books as well, brother. www.voiceoftheancestors.net. To purchase the books, the posters, and all that. Y'all see, I got the posters behind me back here. You know what I'm saying? I just put them up temporarily for today because I was gonna have you on the show, but I got to get some frames for them joints so I could keep them real nice and preserved and all of that. But talk a little bit about the covers, man. The design that you came up with the covers and the title itself.
Yeah, man. So the covers, you know, man, I had originally, I was working with a family member on doing the first cover, and I had an idea in my mind. You know, I thought it was real simple. But you know, sometimes the simplest things are the best looking, you know. So I got you know, I said I want to put 5 ancestors on the front and, you know, just throw some pyramids in the background. And, you know, I sent it to a dude who my cousin knew. And, man, he came up with that masterpiece and I loved it, you know, and I said I want to make it like a black and gold front. So I never told nobody this. If you look at Voice of the Ancestors Volume 1, 2, and 3, it's really black, red, and green, kind of like the Pan-African colorway, you know, when you put all 3 together, you know. So like I say, you know, we got love and respect for the true Pan-Africanists, you know, the true the true concept that it represents and that our ancestors said it represents, you know, and that's what I kind of tried to think about when I was creating all of the book covers. So, you know, the first one's black, the second one's red, and the last one's green. You know, so we kind of been on the Pan-African wave, but like I say, now we kind of just focusing on us because other people haven't been on that same mode. They haven't been on that same code. Like I said, if it's when it's working, it's a beautiful thing. Right. When it's not, it's not. You know, and as far as the name goes, writing the book, I'm sure you all know if you're a writer, you go through writer's block. And so I would go through writer's block, man, where I really couldn't think of anything to say, or I didn't know what direction I should take in the book. And I would say the ancestors would talk to me. I would have dreams about certain things that need to be said. And I would say, man, that was the voice of the ancestors. That was the voice of the ancestors. So I had those dreams. I have those thoughts. Things will pop to me when I'm taking naps or when I'm just thinking. I said, man, that's the voice of the ancestors. And so that's how the name came to be. So when I was stuck at particular points in writing, when I was looking for a source and I was trying to remember certain things, the things would just pop up and I was like, man, that's the voice of the ancestors, and the name just stuck. And, you know, that's how we got the title of the book series.
Man, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope as hell, man.
Much love. Much love. Yes, indeed. So,
and talk about some of the ancestors that you chose to be on the covers.
Right, man. You know, some of the ancestors I chose, of course, I wanted to give it a global perspective. Again, paying homage to brothers and sisters all the way around the globe. Not just here in the Americas. So you see right there on volume 2, we have Dr. Ali Muhammad. We have Sonny Belair, who was a general, one of the strongest generals in the Haitian Revolution, actually a woman. A lot of people think that's a man on that cover, but that's Sonny Belair. She famously said right before she was shot and killed, freedom or death. You know, so she was a soldier all the way to the end. Yes, you know, a concept in the middle, the sister in the middle, that represents the Black Madonna and Child. So that's not a particular person, but it represents that original concept of that Holy Trinity, because those are some of the things we talk about in that book. We talk about the Black woman and her role in our history in the revolution. So I thought that would be dope to center that, the Black Madonna and Child, since so many people have a love for Mary and Jesus. You know, so we put the original one on there, the Black Madonna and Child, and then of course you got Dr. Ben, who was a master teacher, one of our non-FBA ancestors who came over here on code and riding. Dr. Ben dropped extreme amount of knowledge, wisdom, and information on our people. He worked closely with brothers like George G.M. James, who wrote the series Stolen Legacy, who was actually murdered. Dr. Ben was one of the ones who kind of kept his work alive and eventually got it to Asa Hilliard. Asa Hilliard eventually put it out. Rest in power, Asa Hilliard as well, who was down here at Georgia State. Yeah, and he put out that information about Stolen Legacy. So Dr. Ben was a master teacher, one of the early Egyptologists, Black Egyptologists as well. And then you got Queen Mother Harriet. When you talk about warriors, you got to talk about Queen Mother Harriet, who not only, brought people from the South to the North and helped hundreds of foundational Black Americans escape enslavement, but also participated in the Union Army, was one of the greatest spies for the Union. She gave away key intel positions for the Union to eventually defeat the Confederate Army. So that's just Queen Mother Harriet right there. She really needs no introduction.
Right. All right, let me go back to volume 1. Let me go to volume 1
Okay.
real quick. All right.
Okay, so which way? Okay, so on volume 1 in the middle you have King Tut, and King Tut is just, you gotta just pay homage to Tut, because so many people channel his energy, the way we like to rock gold and jewelry and drip, so that's what he's famously known for, being buried in a tomb full of gold. The Boy King, I think he passed away around 18, 19 years old. He developed some type of disease, I believe it was, in his leg. A lot of the pharaohs died fairly young.
Yeah.
He developed one of the diseases.
King's disease.
Yeah, King's disease. Right. So, just paying homage to him. I thought it went beautiful with the gold color wave in the background. And, we got Brother Malcolm, of course, who's one of our greatest warriors, brother who spoke truth to power. He needs no introduction. Garvey on the right, I don't want to say the father of Pan-Africanism, because he's not the father of Pan-Africanism, but he's the one who took it to another level. Yeah, he's the one who took it to another level, man, when it came to Pan-Africanism. And again, non-FBA, but we show respect, we pay homage, because that's a brother who was on code and riding for foundational Black Americans and global Black people in general. Then you got Queen Mother Ida B. Wells, who's the second from the left. Ida B. Wells was, I like to describe her, she was Twitter before Twitter.
Right.
So when stuff was going
Black
down,
media.
right, she was that original. When stuff was going down, Black men down here being lynched, these race soldiers were out here killing Black folks. Queen Mother Ida B. Wells stood 10 toes solid. She made sure everybody knew, from the north to the south. So she was on their necks. And then you got Queen Nzinga out of Angola, one of our warrior queens. She fought the Portuguese 51 of her 82 years of life. She was in the field. The Portuguese were trying to enslave her people. She fought them tooth and nail. So we got to pay homage to her.
Now, let me ask you this, brother, because I've heard that she participated in the slave trade with the Portuguese. Have you come across that information?
I've heard vague information about it. I haven't really seen anything, because a lot of people get her and the Dahomey confused.
The Dahomey, yeah.
The women warriors of the Dahomey. Now, they definitely participated in the slave trade, which is kind of interesting, because they got the movie coming out about them, and they kind of got them fighting slavery, which is kind of interesting. That's an interesting dynamic. But, a Black movie coming out, I ain't trying to be too hard on it, but we got to do a little straightening on that.
I get it.
The Dahomey wasn't fighting no enslavement. The Dahomey was going to get the slaves. They were going to get native villages. Now, in Nzinga, I got to do some more research on that as well. But she was definitely a rider. She was definitely a soldier. Okay.
So now you got my brother, got the guard right front and center right here.
Absolutely.
Nipsey
Absolutely. You got brother Nipsey Hussle, and a lot of people, this is probably one of the most controversial covers, because a lot of people say, why you put Nip on there? Nip was banging. He was rolling 60. Why you put Nip on there? He was selling drugs in the community at a young age. I put Nip front and center because Nip shows that you can go from the lowest light. You can go from that low level energy to that God energy. This is a brother who grew up in a certain environment on Crenshaw, where he was forced to participate in things that unfortunately were not conducive to the community. But once he got knowledge of self, Once he got that finances, those resources, that brother took that information, took those resources, and he created things like Vector 90. He started businesses in the community. He was hiring felons that wouldn't normally be hired, so they didn't have to go back into the streets. He was reaching that God level energy. That brother was around there on Crenshaw telling black folks don't sell because they about to build this stadium and the property value about to go up. He was doing everything in his power to spread that God energy, man. And brother Nip is a classic example of that, because none of us are perfect. Some of us, we raised in certain communities and we think, man, I started off in this community. It's no way that I can change. It's no way that I can get out of that type of mentality or mode. Nip was a classic example of that. He went from low level energy to God energy, and that's why he's front and center. And I think he should be commended for that. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Nip was a perfect example of that.
Absolutely. Big respect to that.
Absolutely. So the brother all the way to the right, you got our brother Bass Reeves, the original Lone Ranger. This was our brother who locked up over 3,000 felons out west. This was the brother who made it safe for you to move through those Louisiana territories after our brothers and sisters in Haiti forced the French to sail. You know, and this is kind of what I had pushed back against my Haitian brothers and sisters, because they didn't turn the Louisiana Purchase until they built the United States, which I had to clap back on that. No. You didn't build the United States. Now you made the United States. You made it available for us to expand out west. Give credit where credit is due, but it was foundational Black Americans like Bass Reeves making it safe for y'all to go move out west. He was locking up over 3,000 felons. This brother was a master linguist as well, spoke Seminole. He was getting game from the Black Seminoles out there in Oklahoma.
Wasn't he a former slave too?
Yeah, he was a former slave. This brother beat up his master in Texas. And went out. That's how he got out west, you know. So this brother was a bad brother, and this is who they get to film The Lone Ranger after. So he was responsible for, like I say, really making it safe out there in the West. And then we got our sister inside of him, Queen Lily Ukalani, who was the last queen of Hawaii. A lot of people don't know that up until the last days of the Kingdom of Hawaii, it was run by Black people. Not only herself, but a royal Black family. She had her brother Prince William Pitt, who was her younger brother. He is the last Prince of Hawaii. If you look at him, he looks like he could be Meek Mill or something. You know, he got he got curly hair and everything. Very young brother. He was the last Prince of Hawaii. Her older brother, who was the last King of Hawaii, King David. He was the last king again. She had another younger sister, Queen Light, or Princess Light, who was one of the last princesses of Hawaii. So Hawaii was run by a Black royal family. In Hawaii, actually, in her royal palace, she had electricity in her royal palace before they had it in the White House. So, you know, it was popping out there in Hawaii under the Kingdom of Hawaii, and she was responsible for a lot of that.
Wow, okay.
Yes, indeed. Now, right here, the sister right here, you have Queen Amina, very controversial figure as well. I put on there because she had some of that warrior energy. She roamed around what we would call the modern states of Nigeria. Today, she was responsible for expanding her kingdom. I can't think of the kingdom's name right now.
Is it Benin?
Amina, Amina, Amina.
No, I mean the kingdom where she was at, the area where she was at. Was it the Benin Empire?
Oh man, no, it wasn't the Benin Empire. Man, it's somewhat a Z, I believe. I forgot. It just slipped my mind. If I didn't see her face, I would have been able to say it for you right now. But you know how that is sometimes. But she was expanding borders left and right. Now she is well. It is said that she participated in some slave trade. But like I say, I take some of this stuff with a grain of salt, because we have to understand the difference between prisoners of war, which were always in Africa, and just selling out just straight slaves. You know what I'm saying? Just knowing what they were doing. So you had prisoners of war who you were never going to release back into the empire. So you would sell them and say, hey, man, go somewhere else and live your best life. I ain't going to never release you here because you're a warrior from another kingdom. I can't trust you. So they would have prisoners of war that they would exchange for certain things and goods. Now, you did have some people knowingly, like the homie. They knowingly knew what was going on, and they still kind of participated in it. And that type of stuff we can't really tolerate. But she was one as well that had prisoners of war, so to speak, that were exchanging out. But she was a great warrior queen. She was actually in the field putting in battle. They have a movie out on her now on Netflix. And No disrespect, but it's trash though. It looks like it was filmed off an iPhone. I was like, listen, y'all gonna have to do better than that. So I wouldn't recommend watching it because you might get mad at her story from watching that. So yeah, man. And then the last brother on the end.
Hold on, before you go to him, let me just add about the slave trade as well, because it's important to clean up some of the history. People got to understand also that the Arabs were running the slave trade in west part of Africa and other parts of Africa as well for like 1,000 years before the Portuguese and the Europeans showed up. They already had the system in place, And so, like you said, a lot of these people, like you said, a lot of these people were actually prisoners of war. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't necessarily just people selling off their brothers and sisters, just selling out to the Europeans or whatever the case may be. And a lot of times you were in a political position or a war position where you really didn't have a choice. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So
we gotta look at the history holistically as well before we just, put everybody in the tether box and just cancel the whole continent.
Right. And like I say, we on code with people who on code with us. Now, people who come over here and start talking about akatas and cotton pickers, and now that's where we gotta, do a little straightening, a little house cleaning that. But we understand history holistically and different things. Like I say, the difference between prisoner of war. Baba Kaba always breaks that down as well. So I do take things with a grain of salt. It's easy to look back and say, knowing what we know now, and say, oh, she was a sellout. But, we got to understand the circumstances and the context of what she was doing at the time. Mm-hmm. And like I say, the brother at the end, he's no particular brother, but he was a brother, a warrior brother in Fiji. So Fiji, man, I just thought he was dope, man. The pictures that the Fijian warriors used to take was so dope, man. So, the brother's got his full fro out. He's got his necklace on. He's in full warrior mode. So I just thought that was dope, man, because if you didn't know better, you would think he was FBA. You would think he's a brother from over here. You know what I'm saying? Because he got the full fro going. And so I just thought that was a dope picture to throw at the end, man. And that just shows you the global presence of our people, from Fiji to Hawaii to the Americas to Africa to all over Asia. We're everywhere.
Dope.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Okay.
I love it.
And you got the collector's edition right here as well. Which
man.
I gotta get. Is this a hardcover? Because I gotta get my hair.
Yeah, this the hardcover. Man. This the hardcover. So these are 1 of 100. Very rare, and it's actually the same information that's in volume 3, but it's just a collector's piece. So we got the great ancestor Tupac. I actually was going to choose between this cover and the Nipsey cover, and so the Nipsey cover won. I let the people vote. It won by a slim margin. And they was like, man, make a collector copy or a limited edition copy out of the Tupac cover. So, we did a limited edition collector's pack, which includes
from the West.
Right.
No. Listen. Pac is the East Coast dude, man. You
listen,
you got to go to the origin story, man. Everybody want Pac. You got to add him to the tribe, man. But man, Tupac is a brother. I mean, like I said, needs no explaining. It's hard to believe that he was like 25 when he died. Right. Because all the knowledge that brother used to be kicking was crazy, man. This is somebody who said if he didn't go into rap or rap didn't work out, he was gonna start his own revolutionary militant group down in Atlanta. So
what they have to get rid of him then.
He got it honest, though. He got it honest. He got it straight from the breast milk. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. And it shows you Pac is a product who shows you what happens when you teach your children revolutionary history at a young age. I mean, this brother was speaking like he was in his 60s, with the knowledge, the wisdom, and information, and he was just 25. So, we had to pay homage to Pac.
Like you, kind of like you.
Exactly.
Look how you
Exactly. And a lot of times we also forget that, Malcolm and Martin didn't even reach 40.
Right.
They was doing what they was doing very young as well. Huey Newton and Bobby Sales and them was 21, 22 when they started the Panthers.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? Just the circumstances of your environment, that you have to react to and adjust to, create different people at different points in time. But the new book, the latest book, why did you feel it was necessary to document the 19 white men who talked about the indigenous black people of the Americas. Why you couldn't go to?
Give me 1 second, brother.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
This is hold on. People want to start calling me every time I tell them I'm doing live.
Yeah, we almost done here. We're gonna wrap it up in a minute.
Oh yeah, it's all up. Hold on 1 second, brother. Make sure it ain't no emergency real quick.
Questions.
Yes, indeed.
And
Yes,
again,
indeed.
you guys make sure you're liking, making sure you're sharing this broadcast. Hope you're enjoying it so far, because I just learned a lot. By the way, I did not have the series, but since sitting here, I have ordered the series. So I will have all 4 books. By the way, you'll see my name in there in a minute. Well, you should already if you get alerts or anything, but I ordered the 4-book series.
That's what's up. And y'all should do the same. Y'all should do the same. Definitely get the books. Me and my son are reading volume 1 right now. Me and Seven, we going through volume 1 right now. So definitely good information. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Shout out to Sister Colette. I see you in the chat, beloved. Appreciate you joining us.
That's much respect. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, I had to take care of that real quick. But
Our
yes, indeed.
sister
But
by
you
name-
asked me about the last book.
Yeah, I was saying, you know, why did you decide to document the white men who talked about the indigenous, rather than some of the black scholars who wrote about it as well?
Well, I noticed that when brothers like yourself, sisters like the Queen you got on here now, myself, when we talk about it, it's seen as Negro babble. Oh, y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
The white man said though.
Right. That's y'all don't know what y'all talking about. And deep down inside, a lot of our people, we truly want the white man to come out and say it before we admit it. You know, we even in the conscious community. We truly want the white man to come out and say it. I've said some of the same things as Jane Elliott. When Jane Elliott says the Negroes just start poking their eyes, it's just like Mama Jane. Oh my God. You know, it just gets really, I mean, the coon senses just really start tingling when Mama Jane say something. And not hating on her or nothing like that, because you're getting the information is the information, but it's like, damn. But so I decided to do 19 white men who talked about there were indigenous black people in Americas because of this pushback. Also in academia, it bothers a lot of us when they say Afrocentric. Every time we bring up some, well, you're just saying it just Afrocentric talk. So me highlighting the 19 white men takes Afrocentric off the table. These are straight up and down white men. Some of these white men I highlight were racist. They were white supremacists. You know, they believe that black people were inferior, but they still acknowledge that, hey, this inferior Negro was the first Negro of America. He was the first person of America. You see what I'm saying? So I think that was big to go into. And sometimes, again, with our people, you have to put medicine in the candy. So a lot of our people, we love the white candy. We love to suck on white stuff, you know, so I had to put the medicine in there. So we had to highlight the 19 white men. And we feel like that was very important because these are people that you don't hear about. So in there, you'll see people like Harold Gladwin, who attended the University of Harvard, former Wall Street teacher on Wall Street. And he broke down in detail, not only were there the Negritos here, but there are Austronesians, as he calls it. The brothers and sisters from Australia made it in. These are the people we see Lewis Corris paint. These are the people we see Theodore Johnson talk about on the west coast of the United States. This is the black man who is extremely black, but he has that long, straight hair, that Austronesian hair. Just like if you go to Australia, you'll see our brothers and sisters out there. They still have the wide nose, big lips, but they have long, straight hair. Okay. And a lot of people try to classify them anything but black. Oh, they're dark skinned Caucasians or whatever. They try to do some goofy stuff with them. But these are black people, and we have the most genetic variations on the face of the earth. So these are people that Harold Gladwin highlighted and talked about, not to mention the Negro, who we call the Negrito, who we call the Twa people, who are the original inhabitants everywhere. They went first everywhere. That's the small, short stature black folks. I mean, they were there so long before everybody else. They were there hundreds of thousands of years in America before anybody else. So these are white men that they try to push over, to brush off. They try to pass these white men off as crazy. But if you look at many of them, and I document this, many of them were curators of museums. Many of them were Harvard professors. Many of them were considered geniuses of their time, polymaths or multi-geniuses in multi-different subjects of their time. but they ignore these men because all these men said, hey
told the
man, there were
truth.
Black indigenous people right in the Americas. So I thought that was very important to highlight and use that as some of our sources as well for the people who want to say it's an Afrocentric argument.
Absolutely.
Yes indeed, man.
I'm
So I think
excited to
that's
get
no read
mine
for
then.
anybody. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, sis.
No, I said I'm excited to get mine, something that I can share with. I have a teenager too, a 17-year-old. He's a senior in high school. His favorite subject is history right now. I mean, he's taking honors histories, and he loves to try to challenge his teachers with information.
Ooh.
So he's always debating the teacher, and he loves it. And they like him too because he does get engaged, with it.
Right.
And so yeah, this is something I can share with him. So this year, if they say something backwards, like hold up,
right.
up,
Absolutely. And the important thing, I provide all the sources to the information.
Yep.
So I'm not just, writing, just throwing out random stuff and not providing the sources. So in that book, 19 White Men, you'll see their actual letters. You'll see their actual books down even to the page number that the information I got it from is on. So I think that's very important. And we have to start highlighting these things because a lot of those works, like Harold Gladwin, who I was just talking about, Man Out of Asia, man, that paperback is hard to find. You can't find that paperback. You can find some digital forms and digital copies, and I'm always subjective on digital copies because those can be taken down at any time, so I like to get the hardcore paperback form, but some of those books are out of print, man. You can't find them. Some of them you have to go to the archives pages, government archive pages to find limited prints on it. So, those are things we really got to start highlighting and taking advantage of, because once they're gone, how are we going to get the information anymore?
Right. And we got to value it too, because sometimes they can be pricey as well.
Absolutely.
If you are able to find it, they be taxing for them joints.
Yeah.
Right.
But discourage. That's to discourage you from getting it.
Right. Absolutely. I'm about to spend just $700 on a book now.
Like I said, you wearing them Yeezys, so that shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem.
Absolutely, man. You got to get the knowledge, wisdom, and information. I got to spend about $700 on it now, man. But it's worth it at the end of the day. So,
and the fly thing about it too, family, make sure that y'all get the books, man, because the brother does do a great job of making it plain, like you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading this with my 7-year-old, and he is advanced for a 7-year-old, but still, you know what I'm saying? He's able to absorb the information when we sit around and have conversations about it, because he's able to cross-reference it with a lot of stuff that, a lot of information I've been giving to him since day one. His middle name is Hey Roo, and you go into the comedic science and all of that. And also we watching Amadeus's film, Heavy as the Crown, where they have a lot of the visuals behind it as the master teachers on there breaking everything down too. So watching that and reading your book at the same time, it's exciting for him. You know what I'm saying? So definitely get the books, family, share it with the kids and all of that.
Absolutely. And make sure you follow him. I appreciate that.
Voices of the Ancestors is running across the banner right there. Voices of the Ancestors. Make sure you're following him on Instagram, and the link to his website is there also.
Yep. Voice of the Ancestors, and that's just mainly Instagram, right?
Yeah, that's the Voice of the Ancestors, and I think in the Voice of the Ancestors, my if you go to that Instagram page, my personal page is in the bio. It's Chase the God, and I think my other Voice of the Ancestors book page is in there as well. And I got another Instagram. I got Foundational Black American Instagram page. So we got a lot going on.
Yeah,
just trying to move.
I found that one too. I'll be stalking you. Where you go?
Right, yeah, because I don't really attach that one to me. So, what I'm saying? I kind of keep it off just because I really limited with the space in my bio. So I can't.
I think I heard you mention it in a live, and I went and found it. I said, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, man, because we gotta make it real, man. We moving, so I was thinking, when I was like, man, they got 100 Caribbean pages. They got 200,000 followers on the Jamaican pages. Jamaicans are us and Know Thy Caribbean, which is cool. Shout out to them, man. Shout out. We ain't hating on it at all, but I was like, man, we got to get our own little page popping, man. That's how you make stuff real, and same thing, like I said, with the book series, we need a book series. We got to start getting into where we're teaching it in schools. We're not going to argue with the tether class all day, we're just going to start teaching in school.
And before we wind it down too, I wanted to ask you about InvestFest. InvestFest was last week. I seen you was down
I
there.
saw that.
You had your booth and everything. Tell us about that before we get out of here.
Man, InvestFest was excellent, man. InvestFest was excellent. We one thing in our community we got to talk more about is finances, financial literacy, different things of that nature. I always say in my books, the key is knowledge of self, economic empowerment, and military science. Those are the three keys, and the code is what makes the glue stick. Being on code, that's what makes all three stick. So in InvestFest, again, talking about the financial literacy, stock market, real estate, different things of that nature, man. I think it's a wonderful thing. It was over 12,000 people at the InvestFest. So, and we're talking about mostly 90% Black.
And it's not the club. It ain't a turn up. You know what I'm saying?
And everybody's there to chop up real game, and you're going to get that star power if you came out there to see. Rick Ross was out there. Tyler Perry was out there. So if you wanted to go get that star power, you could, man, but get some game, the financial side, not just entertainment all the time, man. Really get some game. So I had a booth out there. I actually, and this is not a shot at InvestFest, man, I actually liked the first one last year better because to me it was more grassroots. It kind of got a little corporate. You could tell they had some corporate money this year. It was Rolls Royce in that thing. It was, it was crazy. It was like what they used to have. My mother used to take me with her for Sisters Only. But it was like huge down here in Atlanta. They had something called for Sisters Only when I was real young. It was real big, but definitely still a great event overall. And the vendor spots were excellent as well. I got a chance to meet a lot of like-minded people in person. So a lot of people who knew the page, approached me, different things of that nature. Got a chance, to see brothers like 19 Keys. I don't know if y'all know Wall Street Trapper and all these other brothers and sisters that were there. So it was a good experience, man. And I think everybody should definitely check that out. So it sounds like they're going to do it annually. This was the second annual one. So, hopefully that they keep continue that for the future.
Dope.
Absolutely, man.
All right, so nicely, let's do our due diligence. We can't keep our brother all night.
Yes, we can.
We good, man. We chopping up game. I'm here. Right? I'm on y'all time, man. I'm on y'all time, G.
Nah, this was a great build, man. We definitely appreciate your time, man. We know you're busy. You got a lot going on. So definitely taking the time to be here with us. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely much appreciated. This was a great way to start off the new season of the Black Business Showcase. So
thank you.
Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all having me. Like I say, y'all been showing love and support since the beginning, man. And I've been meaning to come on here. When I get in my writer's mode, I really don't do any, interviews or anything like that. I'm actually blocked right now from going live on Instagram. So which is fine because I get used to that. I get used to it at this point. But it's making me really get in the lab and focus on my business and writing.
So we got two more questions? Yeah.
2 more questions for you. What does freedom and power mean to you?
Okay. What does freedom and power? Are you asking like what does it look like or
just what is it to you?
What is it to me? Freedom and power. That's a great question. Freedom and power means I'm able to get up and do what I want. I'm able to live my best life. I'm able to go where I want, eat where I want. I'm able to control the assets and resources that are in my neighborhood, whether it be natural resources, the land, the fruits, the vegetables, or just in general, the banks and the businesses around me. That's what freedom and power looks like to me. And I think that's what we're pushing to get to that type of level.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're going to get it too. We're going to get it.
Yes, indeed. We want to control it all. I want to say Black folks don't be afraid of power. Right. That's one thing we really afraid of. Every time we start talking power talk, Negroes want to have a plebiscite. They want to talk in circles. They want to start talking about, hey man, we Moors. Hey, listen, man, dude.
Right.
Let's talk power, man. Once you have the power, you can call yourself what you want to call yourself.
Right. Facts.
They even think they associate power or claiming your power, right, with death. When you start talking like that, they gonna kill you. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my God. Yeah.
That's why I try not to get around that much energy, that type of coon energy, that
spirit.
afraid, passive energy. I don't get around that, So like I say, man, just try to stay clear. That's why I always say it's not going to be a lot of us. It's going to be a select few. I don't look to have everybody get on the wave. Even at the Invest Fest, some people stopped, some people didn't. It is what it is. Some people look at my little setup. I had my little booth set up and the images and everything, and they were kind of looking, and they would walk away like it's just spookism. I didn't come here for this. I came here to get some money. You know what I'm saying? Which is fine because it's not meant for everybody. Right. The revolution is not meant for everybody. And the funny thing is, brother, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when we win and we're all dead and gone, everybody's going to say they were part of it.
They're going to say they was
Everybody's going to say they were down, man. Just like everybody says they were marching with King. Right. Everybody says they knew Malcolm. Oh, my goodness. Everybody says that. That's the go-to line. Even for white folks now, Biden was marching with King and all these that's how the game goes, man. But the reality is it's a small few of us. So man, that's what we gotta understand.
Always. All right, brother. So this part right here, I gotta put you on the Summer Jam screen.
Okay.
And you got the microphone, and the entire Black community can hear what it is that you have to say. So what parting words would you like to leave us with tonight?
Man, that's a great question, man. I want to tell people, Black folks, that it's not over. In the words of Baba Kaba, it's not over until we win. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep fighting. And we might not even see what we want to see in this lifetime, but we'll be back again. We got to stop fearing death. And we got to keep pushing in each and everything we do. 3 categories we got to focus on. Knowledge of self. We have to know our history like the back of our hand. Because when we know our history, it erases the white man's mystery, and history always repeats itself. Always repeats itself. What happened to your ancestors will happen again. The wise study that history. The foolish ignore it and allow it to be done to them again. So we got to know our history. This is why it's so important. Secondly, we got to get on our economic game. We got to practice ownership, whatever you do. And that starts at an individual level. That's okay. You don't have enough money to start a bank. Hell, I ain't got enough money to start no bank right now. I ain't got enough money to own neighborhoods and just buy thousands of acres of land. But I can control and own what I consume. Meaning I watch Netflix. Nothing wrong with watching Netflix, but I make sure I own Netflix stock. I have Apple iPhones, but I make sure I own Apple stock. You see what I'm saying? Having that ownership mindset, whatever we consume, we have to own. Other communities look at that. Other communities came in and said, hey, man, I like that hip hop they're doing. I need to own that. While we sitting up here just using it as entertainment. Right. And now we got folks talking about Jamaicans created hip hop because we didn't have that ownership mindset. We didn't gatekeep it. You see what I'm saying? So economics is very important. Putting your dollars into ownership is very important, and using it as a group, understanding that economics is going to be the foundation of our community. We use that economic empowerment to then control the local politics in our area. Okay, so we go to these local politicians. I don't give a damn if they Democrat or Republican. I'm going to buy them both. We're going to buy them both as a group, and we're going to control them. Now that we control these politicians, we use these politicians to control the local police or the military branch. Okay, so we're going to tell them, hey, man, we're tired of unarmed Black men, women, and children dying in the streets at the hands of these cops. We need some laws. We need some policies in our area to punish these race soldiers because we own this politician. That's why when things happen to Asians, they own the politician so fast before we can even sneeze. They got anti-Asian hate crime bills at a federal level. Forget the local level. They got them at a federal level already because they own these politicians. They put money in it. Asians don't go out here and talk about vote. Okay, they vote the least of any other group, but they own the politicians. Okay, so that's where, but it all starts at the economic base. And last but not least, military. We got to focus on military. All Black people, you should be going to the range at least once a month. That's at least. I really want you to go once a week, but at least once a month, you need to be in the gun range. You need to be shooting, especially if you're in a gun state. Okay, we have to practice the art of military science, because we don't have a police force to protect us. We don't have anybody else to protect us. We have to protect ourselves. So military science, we've had Black Wall Streets, we had Rosewood, we had Jackson Ward, we had Blackdom, okay? We had communities all over this country that were eventually sabotaged and burned down because many times we didn't take military science seriously enough. So if we're going to do this thing again, if we're going to build this Black Wall Street, we're going to build this Black nation again that we all talk about, we got to defend it. We got to practice military science. So knowledge of self, economic empowerment, and military science, and we're going to keep pushing. And it's not going to be over until we win, and we will win, family. We will win, especially as foundation Black Americans. Yes, indeed.
Man, that's a perfect way to end the show, man.
Much respect.
Perfect way to end the show, man. Again, thank you for being here with us. Thank everybody for watching. If you're here live with us tonight, if you're watching this on the replay, you know, we appreciate y'all tapping in with us. This is Sincere Love the GodCast, season 2 of the Black Business Showcase. This is episode 1 right here in the books. And so, what we got coming next week, Nyctegur?
I wanted to, so he mentioned, you know, how the Jamaicans were claiming hip hop now. And so I did tell you to come on over to Twitter. Well, right now, Mexicans are saying that they started it. I just had to throw that. I meant that I didn't want to interrupt his deal, but now they're saying that they started it. So
yeah, you might be right, brother Sincere. I might not need to get on Twitter. Twitter's like
it's a whole clown show over there.
That's oh man.
Yeah, it's a whole.
That's gonna be my laugh for the night. Let's create hip hop.
Man. Anyway, next week, you guys, next Wednesday, we're gonna have Suede. I'm sorry, I guess it's Suits Design LLC, and so this brother builds bulletproof mattresses.
Yep.
And it's Black owned, obviously. So next week we'll be here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Sincere Love the GodCast YouTube. Of course, look out on both of our social medias, you know, for the links, flyers, etc. But make sure you tune in next Wednesday, and we will have Sue Design LLC, and this brother makes bulletproof mattresses.
Yeah, I think that's like his signature product or his marquee product, or whatever the case may be. But just artillery in general, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's gonna be a good one. You know, we have a lot of people that come on that talk that gun talk, talk that military talk. So we definitely push that hard on this platform.
That's what's up.
So yeah, and other than that, we will see you guys on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time for our regular broadcast where we chop up game about everything that's going on in Black society, the time and what needs to be done. That's what we do. And so again, family, thank you all for joining. Thank you all for hitting the like, sharing, subscribing, all of that good stuff. And we will see y'all in a couple days. Brother Chase, the God. Thanks again, family. Peace and Black love.
Do for self or suffer the consequences.
What?
We are not the master teachers. Hold on. You over here tripping.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you
We
take
are not the master teachers. We are only the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. How could I forget?
Oh, you forgot the punchline.
All right, I see y'all, man.
All right. Good night. Thank you, Chase.
Peace. Thank you.
Do for self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious. So I move.